explosion in downtown Canton. Authorities say the explosion took place last night in a building along that town's First Avenue. The person killed was an Ameren, Illinois utility worker. U.S. Senator Dick Durbin ruling out a run for Illinois governor in 2018. Durbin instead says he'll keep his job as Senate Minority Whip on the leadership team of the Minority Leader, Charles Schumer of New York. And Dwayne Andreas, whose company Archer Daniels Midland helped transform agriculture into big business, but was rocked by a price-fixing scandal in this state in the 1990s, has died. Dwayne Andreas was 98. College football, Northern Illinois looked at a 21-0 deficit and said, nah, it's okay, we'll win anyway. And they did, 31-24 over Eastern Michigan in overtime. College baskets, UIC, Illinois State, Butler over Northwestern with a last-second shot, and Northern Illinois, all winners. There's hockey tonight. San Jose is, and the Bulls also on the road at Utah this evening. The news service of the 89-cent pancake deal at Burger King. Unbelievable, but true. 3 pancakes, 89 cents, only at Burger King. Limited time only. Price and participation vary. 5:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
As a new president prepares to take office, questions swirl about the future of this administration.
Republicans on Capitol Hill have been watching this very closely because...
What message is Trump sending to the young girl?
And the future of the nation.
We're confident about the transition, and we're very, very excited about getting to work for the American people.
Get answers to those questions here.
We should be a little careful about casually throwing around the term anti-Semitic.
We spend all of our time defending ourselves.
This is AM 560. The Answer.
Are you a business owner or manager who wants your facility to be more locked down? Do you occasionally need to limit access to your building from certain employees at certain times? Turn to Access Master, a proud supporter of AM 560 and Feed the Children. Access Master makes managing access to your facility easy. Whether you need to control access at a single entrance or to all your doors, Access Master will work with you to develop a plan customized for your business security needs. Everyone in your organization can have their own unique access profile to allow them access at certain times of days at various entrances. You can even monitor when employees are on site and receive an email or text notification in real time if employees need to enter your facility after hours. Business owners and managers, make an appointment to review options for controlling access to your facility. Contact Access Master today to help control access to your facilities. Call 800-321-2850. That's 800-321-2850. Please mention this ad.
Change in the market shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. In fact, since World War II, we've seen a correction on average about once every 18 months. That's why Arlington Capital Management developed proprietary tools that help them to see what's beyond your investment horizon. Like an experienced ship captain uses tools to avoid stormy weather, Arlington Capital Management uses tools to guide you through market corrections before it's too late and help us decide when to capitalize on opportunity. Call Arlington Capital Management today at 855-471-5796 to learn how their active management systems can help you. Each day, they actively explore the market, our economy, and all the variables that affect your investments. Stormy markets never cloud their vision. The professionals at Arlington Capital Management use their tools and experience to guide them. Call Arlington Capital Management today at 855-471-5796 for a financial review. The number again is 855-471-5796 or learn more at arlington-capital.com.
5:08. Let's get an update on the morning ride to work in the AM 560 Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Mike. Skokie, we got a crash which has had Gulf Road closed for nearly an hour now. This is at Tripp, so the closure between Grosse Pointe and Crawford. And in Wadsworth, a crash has northbound 41 shut down from Stern School Road to Wadsworth Road. Inbound Bishop Ford, a little heavy, 103rd to the merge. Reagan Tollway westbound, right on the Fox River Bridge. There's road work in the 2 left lanes till 6 this morning. The other overnight work is gone. The express lanes on the Kennedy are now open inbound. Traffic is a service as well of the 89-cent pancake deal at Burger King. How is this even possible? Right now at Burger King, you can get 3 pancakes for 89 cents. 3 hot, fluffy, golden pancakes for just 89 cents. Unbelievable but true, 3 pancakes, 89 cents. only at Burger King. Limited time only. Price and participation vary. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte. AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Here's our meteorologist, Ashley Benoit.
Breezy today, nice with sunshine, a high of 72. Clear skies early tonight, then increasing clouds overnight, breezy and mild, low 58. Mostly cloudy and windy tomorrow, showers during the midday, high 66 degrees. I'm Ashley Benoit on AM 560, The Answer.
Updated temps, 47 at O'Hare, 50 along the lakefront. Next news at 5:30, Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Saul Z and the Z Team Realty. They guarantee to sell your home in 59 days or they'll sell it for free. Log on to callsaul.net for details.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy, but not Amy because she is out protesting Max Scherzer getting the Cy Young over Kyle Hendricks this morning. So in her stead, a Sox fan, Kristen McQuarrie, who doesn't care that Kyle Hendricks got snubbed.
No, it's a prereq to be on the show, right? You have to be a Sox fan to fill in.
Amy.
Poor Amy, she's still under the weather.
Yeah, she's under the weather. I think, no.
No?
I mean, yesterday Madden gets snubbed. Today, yesterday Hendricks got snubbed. The day before, Madden got snubbed for NL Manager of the Year. And then these are the 2 days Amy misses.
A little suspicious.
A little curious to me.
Maybe she's like Hillary Clinton. She just wants to curl up with her dog in bed.
Although Hillary Clinton made a public appearance yesterday.
She did.
Children's Defense Fund Gala, which I'm sure was a lovely affair.
I'm sure it was.
And she did talk about how difficult it was to scrape herself off the bed in her Chappaqua compound and have someone drive her to this event. So I'm sure it was difficult.
Eat and drink and be the keynote speaker. It's a tough gig.
But she did have, these where she's trying to be kind of a statesman. It's funny, actually, to watch. She's trying to, strike all the right notes as she figures out what her next criminal scheme is going to be. And I think as she angles for a pardon. Listen to Hillary last night.
I know that over the past week, a lot of people have asked themselves whether America is the country we thought it was. The divisions laid bare by this election run deep. But please listen to me when I say this. America is worth it. Our children are worth it. Believe in our country, fight for our values, and never, ever give up.
And then she said, now I'm leaving to Canada.
I mean, did you feel the passion? She's so passionate when she talks about America.
I love the idea that a lot of people saying America isn't the country we thought it was.
It isn't. Exactly.
I know. Thank goodness it's not. Thank goodness it has not yet completely become the country that the left, that the crybabies and the bedwetters you see on the streets and their financiers think it is or think it should be. Thank goodness that's not the case. Now, unfortunately, Chicago and Illinois are the places the left thinks they are.
They are.
That's the problem. And you heard at the newscast at the top, Tiny Dancer, look, not all the problems are solved in Chicago. He's willing to concede that. This budget that was just ratified by acclamation of clapping fins by the city council doesn't solve everything. On the right path, though.
We still have work to do, Dan.
On the right path.
We have a little work to do. We have to, get our crime problem under control.
Mm-hmm.
Our schools are, they're not great, but we're getting there. And we have to stop counting borrowed money as revenue. But, that's for later. All of that is for later. For now, we're just going to applaud that another budget has been passed on the backs of taxpayers.
Do you feel that Chicago is heading in the right direction, that Xanadu is just around the corner? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 646-36DA, turnkey.pro text line. Are we just a couple of dial turns and lever pulls away from being, one of America's best governed magnet cities again.
I mean, if people don't continue to leave in droves, we had a chance with the Tribune editorial board each year. We should revise that. We sit down with the mayor and his budgeteers, and we talk about what the budget is going to be.
No, but when you do that, Bill Curtis acts as an intermediary because you're not allowed to ask direct questions. You have to run it through Bill Curtis. Isn't that right?
He's not usually in the meetings, but it is interesting that for the second year in a row, I mean, I like to actually look at the budget with the big budget book and look year to year how much spending is increasing. And he doesn't like it when people do that. And so when I asked a question, just a broad overview, why can't we do a budget that is flat? Why can't you tell your department heads, I'm sorry, you have to spend what you spent last year? You know what his answer was? Because in fact, most of the budget, of course, is personnel, and most of the increases in the budget are for raises, including last year. I think he gave his chief of staff. He gave his chief of staff a $20,000 or $30,000 or $40,000 raise. He has a communication staff of about 40 people. He has a photographer.
He has a communication staff of 40 people.
Yes, he does, and he has his own photographer. So I know those things are not going to balance the budget to strip them out, but you even ask a question along those lines, his own budget, the mayor's office own budget, has gone up something like $500,000 in the last 2 years. And his answer, when you ask him about it, when you target him, is to turn the question back on you and make you think that you are an evil devil for questioning his investments in children. That was his answer to me.
Well, you are.
I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up investments in children and after-school programs. And then he goes on this long list of things, as if was the point of my question.
Those are impertinent questions that you're asking. He just told you we're on the right track.
I know. Gosh, if only.
How many times does he have to say it? I mean, honestly.
Yeah, it does. It's the same thing with Cook County. Toni Preckwinkle came in and was pitching her sweetened beverage tax, and there's just to these politicians, it's just a matter of this. I only have these 3 taxes to choose from. Which one should I choose? Instead of actually dialing back, having like a zero-based budget, not negotiating such generous contracts with your employee unions that outpace the cost of living, not expanding Medicaid under Obamacare when you can't afford it. I mean, it's just a matter of like, well, which tax are we going to pick?
I don't understand. I mean, look, I must be missing something because I hear nothing but good news from the people in charge, and I presume they're telling me the truth and they're on top of their positions. Look, Ed Burke, the dean of the city council, said, I'm even seeing smiles on the faces of my colleagues, which makes us feel very, very confident, not only that this is not only a good budget, but that it is looking very, very good. That's 2 verys. Very, very good for Chicago's future. Things are indeed looking up. I mean, the profundity of Ed Burke is persuasive to me.
It must be
very, very confident and very, very good.
It must be your Mr. Rogers blue sweater today.
Yeah.
Because you're buying into all of the happy good news that
the average
emerges.
family will pay nearly $1,700 more a year to the city and CPS than they did before the mayor took office in 2011. Once all of Emmanuel's tax and fee increases take full effect, or so reported your news outlet, the Chicago Tribune. I think that's a lowball figure that cannot include property taxes. Yeah.
No, I think it does. I think on an average, it probably does. I mean, not everyone is paying as much as, say someone who lives in Streeterville, for example.
Well, that's true. And so all the people that have moved out of the South and West Sides that are no longer here, I suppose they're not paying those taxes. So if you average out a lot of zeros from former residents, I guess that could
it's actually
support the number.
Water and sewer tax for homeowners that is more onerous probably than the property tax when you spread out the property tax among all the different taxing bodies. I mean, water and sewer rates have skyrocketed.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're paying
garbage fee, 9/11 phone tax,
right,
vehicle sticker increase, tax on cable television, tax on the cloud.
Highest sales tax in the country, hotel taxes, Parking is going up around Wrigley Field. Parking is costing more at O'Hare. I mean, everything is taxed.
Yeah, but before you start saying, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm being nickeled and dimed to death, before you start giving in to math, let me just remind you, Ed Burks, he smiles on the faces of his colleagues.
Yeah.
You can't put a price on that. You can't put a price on a happy alderman.
But
and how dare you try?
But so he oversees the finance committee, where obviously a lot of these proposals move through. Budget is the bigger deal. Carrie Austin oversees budget. None of the council members, I shouldn't say none, most of the council members don't even attend all of the budget hearings where they actually have a chance to question department heads about why they're asking for more money or why they're spending money here on this contract or that. The aldermen don't even go.
Why do they have
show.
to? A Tiny Dancer said to his colleagues on the city council, you can say Chicago tomorrow is better because of the work you've done over the past 5 years. I mean, that's teamwork.
I feel like I'm sitting across from Rahm Emanuel in the Tribune editorial board room right now.
And I feel like I'm sitting across from a Sour Grape Sox fan. We have a championship political team here with Tiny Dancer and the aldermen who have set Chicago on a path to greatness through the taxation and borrowing and overspending and paying little mind to violent crime. And here you are to suggest that people should ask these uncomfortable questions.
No, I'm so rude. I'm so rude.
Mary at Midway, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Oh, I feel like a genius or something. I mean, I'm not even supposed to have to think this stuff, but can't they even think of a fun, pleasant way to gouge us? Because after the Cubs won, it was so wonderful. I thought, I'm going to get some, maybe they'll have lottery tickets like scratch-offs or something with Cubs fans. Like 5 million people probably would have been out there and got something like that, but God forbid, and they don't pay you anyway, but maybe they'd have one that was for a skybox, but no alderman would probably give that up anyway. But that would have been a great way to make money.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Mary.
Mary for mayor.
Thank you for that. I appreciate the creativity.
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, the Tribune made some coin off of the Cubs winning. We had lines out the door for days. You think newspapers are dead, Dan Proft? You should have seen the lines of people waiting to get a copy.
The commemorative edition.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Which is, I believe, is the last printed edition of the Tribune.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Your weather forecast today, shiny, breezy, temperatures near the record of 74 degrees, which was set in 1975 when Dan was 18 years old. High of 72 today.
On my way to college.
Yep. And now we'll shoot it over to Jim Talamonte for traffic.
Thank you, Kristen. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. Got some mild delays now on inbound I-57 at the Bishop Ford and the Ryan. We have road work on the Reagan Tollway westbound on the Fox River Bridge. 2 left lanes are blocked there till 6 this morning. There are all lanes open now on the Kennedy. The express lanes are open inbound after some overnight work. 2 closures due to crashes to the north. Wadsworth northbound 41 is blocked. Stearns School Road to Wadsworth Road. And Gulf Road in Skokie remains shut down from Grosse Point Road in Crawford due to a crash at Tripp. I'm Jim Talamonte in the AM 560 Traffic Center.
For premium content that builds on what you hear on this show, visit upstream-ideas.com, upstream-ideas.com. We have long-form interviews, commentaries, podcasts of interviews from this show, as well as the Sunday show that I co-host, Illinois Rising, with the Illinois Policy Institute, which focuses primarily on state and city and local policy matters. It's all at upstream-ideas.com.
If you're an IT services pro or you just manage IT in your organization, you know how important data storage is. Hiding a server in the back closet next to the coffee filters? Well, you don't have to be running for president to know that's a dumb idea. Today, you need data storage solutions that are safe, secure, and ready for anything, run by professionals who care about you and your business. New Continuum Data Center is a cutting-edge West Chicago co-location facility that's 80,000 square feet of cooled and connected awesome. But don't think of us as a data center. Think of us as the people inside the data center. Talented pros who are monitoring your servers 24/7. We're here to customize solutions, answer questions, carry out tasks to your exact specifications, or just get out of the way while you work in our comfortable, secure, state-of-the-art facility. Whether you need a single rack, a secure cage, or a private suite, or just aren't sure, let's talk about designing the right solution for you. Visit newcontinuum.net/radio today and get up to 3 free months of service just for taking a tour. Some conditions apply. That's newcontinuum.net/radio or call 1-800-432-COLO and mention this radio ad.
Here's microbiologist Dr. Kim O'Neill talking about balance of nature.
Scientific research has shown that many cancers and lifestyle diseases can be prevented with a diet rich in fruits and vegetables. This prevention comes from the phytochemicals in the plants. They fight against oxidants that damage the cell's DNA, causing mutations that lead to disease. I don't take any supplementation, but I take Balance of Nature because I know, I've seen it in my lab, and I know that it works. I've seen the immune response increase, I've seen your DNA repair capacity increase, and I've seen DNA protection. And that, to me, as a scientist, rings so true, and it's only natural.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Chicago Tribune editorial board member Kristen McQuarrie. She is Chicago denizen from Morgan Park area.
That's correct.
You live like right behind or inside Cork and Kerry.
I generally do. It's my second home.
Yeah, you can catch her at she is to Cork and Kerry what Brendan Riley is to Boss Bar. About
let's
3
not
o'clock.
Go there.
No.
I'm not quite a regular. You know, there's so many bars on Western. I can't choose. I don't have one favorite.
It's good to spread the wealth. That's what we do in Illinois. Spread the wealth. Tiny Dancer does it. Other Chicago diminutive power lords do it as well. Madigan, Cullerton. We talked a little bit about Chicago. There's a little bit of gathering of Rauner and legislative leaders after November 8th election, last week's election, this week. And it seems like despite a little bit of movement in the direction of Republicans, 4 pickups in the House and 2 pickups in the state Senate, that we're going to see stopgap budgets and the same kind of back and forth rhetoric that we've become inured to over the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
All right, great. Well, that's the state of Illinois wrap. Questions about that?
I get angry with myself for ever holding out hope that the situation would be different. But no, we're post-election. Mike Madigan put out a statement election night that was very sourpuss. Cullerton and Rauner put out a statement saying they're ready to move on. And then, of course, Rauner tries to set up a first meeting with the legislative leaders, which is necessary if you want to cut a budget deal, to get all of them in a room together. And, you know, Mike Madigan he's super busy. He's super busy at the Capitol, so he doesn't make it. His little sidekick, who I referred to as Tattoo from Fantasy Island, John Cullerton, also then skipped out because, you know, if the boss says we're not going to this meeting, you don't go, even though you are a separately elected chamber official, Senate President John Cullerton. So he didn't go.
By the way, nobody does a Hervé Villachez impersonation like Kristen McQuarrie. You should really hear it.
The plane.
No? I stand corrected.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
No.
But I mean,
I'll work on it.
But is that a little short crack against John Cullerton? Is that what that is?
It might have been just me desiring to see him in a little white tuxedo. That's all. It's just a fetish.
And similarly, the two of them make dreams come true.
They do when they work together. But so they did show up, I think, at a Tuesday meeting. And then I'm not sure if they met yesterday, but I'm sure they solved all of the state's problems. I'm not worried about it one bit.
So there's not going to, is your prediction that there's not going to be a constitutionally balanced budget between now and 2018, that Madigan and Cullerton are just going to dig in, wait for 2018, assume a midterm election cycle with is going to be bad for the incumbent party at the national level, meaning Republicans, and that they can make gains and even take Rauner out in 18.
Yes,
that's what they're going to do.
I mean, we have not had a constitutionally balanced budget for a decade or more in the state. they made it look balanced because they skipped pension payments, or if the revenue numbers weren't quite what they needed, they just changed what they thought the revenue estimates were going to be. The unfunded pensions liability increased under Democratic control for those 12 years. It doubled from about $40 billion to about $110 billion. So, I mean, what reason would we have to think that they're going to get serious now? What? Why?
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Hi, this is Dr. David Kolbaba. So you get yourself one of those blood tests with all the poking and prodding. They're always looking for some kind of bad news. Most blood tests these days are very lacking, only screening you for the big, bad, and ugly diseases, and with you never really getting the good news, or even knowing what to do with the not-so-good news. So let me tell you about our dirt cheap comprehensive blood test. First of all, we'll be testing a wide variety of different health factors and not just the ugly few. And then we're going to sit down with you and strategize with all that we learned from your blood test findings. And I promise that you're going to know more about what you can do to help improve your health using a more natural, common sense approach. And for over 33 years, we've been very successful at setting people free from their toxic medications. It's our dirt cheap comprehensive blood test. Call 800-794-1855. You can't get any cheaper than dirt cheap. That's 800-794-1855. Be sure to tune in to Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11.
AM 560, The Answer.
Text from Steve on 88. You may want to ask Tiny to answer this your next sit-down, or ask Bill Curtis to ask Tiny to answer this. The Chicago City budget should be explained in terms of citizens shot, i.e. $4,000 per shooting. That's a good question. Yeah, it's not a bad idea in terms of math that people could get their arms around a bit. All right, coming up, is America becoming more or less racist? At 5:38. But now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Clear and 50 degrees. One person dead, 10 others hurt following a huge natural gas explosion in downtown Canton, Illinois. The explosion took place overnight in that town just southwest of Peoria, causing damage to several structures in the area. Again, 11 victims were hospitalized. One later died. More Americans feeling confident about President-elect Donald Trump. The new Gallup poll finds 51% say they're more confident about Trump since the election. Meantime, at Trump transition headquarters, the president-elect will meet with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. President Barack Obama and German Chancellor Angela Merkel declaring the underlying bedrock of shared values is strong and going forward. The president continues his visit to Germany later today. Hillary Clinton is admitting the week after losing the presidential election has been rough.
Now, I will admit, coming here tonight wasn't the easiest thing for me. There have been a few times this past week when all I wanted to do was just to curl up with a good book or our dogs and never leave the house again.
In her first public remarks since her concession speech, Clinton says she was disappointed in last week's election loss. An officer involved in the deadly shooting of an African-American man during a traffic stop near St. Paul, Minnesota, is being charged with second-degree manslaughter. Ramsey County Attorney John Choi telling reporters yesterday St. Anthony police officer Geronimo Yanez was not justified, he believes, in using lethal force.
We filed a criminal complaint this morning in Ramsey County District Court charging Officer Yanez with second-degree manslaughter in the death of Philando Castile.
In the Philando Castile case, Choi says it's a criminal case, so he will not be releasing squad cam footage of the shooting. There is a conservative lawyers convention starting today in Washington, D.C. It could wind up being a showcase for potential Supreme Court picks during the Trump administration. Attendees include 9 judges on President-elect Trump's list of potential high court picks. Mayor Emanuel says he's pleased after Chicago aldermen unanimously approved his 2017 spending plan yesterday. A special prosecutor says a grand jury has been impaneled to hear evidence into a possible cover-up by Chicago police officers in the fatal shooting of Laquan McDonald. U.S. Senator Dick Durbin ruling out a run for Illinois governor in 2018. And from the "you really shouldn't do this" file Cubs are planning on reaching out to Steve Bartman in 2017. Team owner Tom Ricketts telling USA Today that they'll figure out something that provides some type of closure for everyone. Remember, this is from Game 6 of 2003 in the NLCS. You got a world title. Enjoy it. Chicago sports. Northern Illinois beat Eastern Michigan in overtime in college football. College hoops, UIC, Illinois State, Butler over Northwestern, and Northern Illinois, all with wins. The news, a service of the 89-cent pancake deal at Burger King. How is this even possible? Right now at Burger King, you can get 3 pancakes for 89 cents. 3 hot, fluffy, golden pancakes for just 89 cents. It's unbelievable, but true. 3 pancakes, 89 cents, only at Burger King. Limited time only. Price and participation vary. 5:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
You know what? I want to tell you something, America.
The Joe Walsh Show.
We ask our cops to do an ugly, impossible job. And way too many of us hate on them every day. I'll tell you what, America, you are going to wake up, so help me God, America, you are going to wake up one day without police officers in this country. And you will deserve it.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, best beans, best roast, best coffee.
I know a perfect Christmas gift. Did you guess it? Yep, it's MyPillow. And MyPillow will extend the money-back guarantee through March. Plus, if you buy 1 premium MyPillow, you'll still get the second one and 2 additional Go Anywhere MyPillows for free. So you're actually getting 2 premium and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows for the price of only 1 with an extended money-back guarantee. It's the best offer ever. The National Sleep Foundation made MyPillow their official pillow. It's washable to remove germs that cause allergies, acne, and asthma. And you'll sleep better. Visit MyPillow.com, click the radio listener special tab, and use the promo code Joe. You'll get 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere for the price of 1, plus the extended money-back guarantee through March for your Christmas gifts. Or you can call 1-800-489-0201, mention the radio listener special, and be sure to use the promo code Joe. That's MyPillow.com or 1-800-489-0201.
5:36. Let's get an update on the roads in our AM 560 traffic center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. In Skokie, Gulf Road is now closed between Kildare and Keeler due to a rollover crash at Tripp. In Wadsworth, northbound 41 is closed between Stern School Road and Wadsworth Road due to a collision with injuries. The Edens and the Kennedy are looking good. Inbound Eisenhower, a little heavy around Manheim. Stevenson has scattered delays starting at Lamont Road. 37 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 18 minutes, 95th to downtown. There's a bit of a delay on I-57. 20 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop 421 traffic. Also a service of the 89-cent pancake deal at Burger King. How is this even possible? Right now at Burger King, you can get 3 pancakes for 89 cents. 3 hot, fluffy, golden pancakes for just 89 cents. Unbelievable but true. 3 pancakes, 89 cents only at Burger King. Limited time only. Price and participation vary. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte. AM 560, The Answer.
Jim, thank you. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, sunny, breezy. Temperatures south of I-80 will probably be near the record of 74 set back in 1975. For the rest of us, probably around 70, a little bit below north of I-80. Clear overnight, then clouds on the increase as we head towards morning. 58, cloudy, windy, showers midday, and then temperatures will drop off the map late in the day. We'll hit a high of 66, have a low of 32 tomorrow night. 47 at O'Hare. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by HealthQuest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. HealthQuest Radio is heard Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning, who's a little under the weather, is Chicago Tribune editorial board member Kristen McQuarrie. The question, America getting more or less racist, more or less tolerant, I guess, is even a more general question. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 646-36DA, turnkey.pro text line. You know that's what the left is obsessing about in the wake of Trump's election, because that's what they always obsess about. But you have some other voices weighing in. It's kind of interesting. Tyler Cohen, who is a free market economist over at George Mason University, he writes a weekly column for Bloomberg. His opinion, racism probably is getting worse. He hopes he's wrong. And he relies sort of on hate crime stats, which he admits are dubious, and spikes in hate crime stats and after divisive or life-changing events in the wake of 9/11, for example, or Trump election, for example. Now, it cuts both ways, but the point is one of tolerance. Those data, not compelling, but here's the other argument he makes. The U.S. is losing global status. Many white Americans are losing status within their own country. Inevitably, some of the blowback takes the form of prejudice. A candidate such as Trump would have been unthinkable as recently as 4 years ago, and that is the single most significant piece of evidence before us. So he's essentially saying that the election of Trump is signaling about the heightened racism, the declining tolerance in the country.
I mean, I would say that it's somewhat undeniable that the far, I don't even know if you could call them the far right, but we had a couple candidates in this election cycle who did attract the radical side of both parties. I would say Black Lives Matter has been more divisive, and that whole movement than Trump winning election. I mean, I don't know that we are becoming more racist. I'm doing air quotes, but I certainly think we are less tolerant of others' points of view. We're more hostile. You know, there seems to be like an open hostility. And I was a panelist at DePaul University a few weeks ago.
Oh, they let you on campus.
They did, but they ran me off. It was a discussion about safe spaces, and just sitting through there and sitting next to this young woman who is the president of the College Republicans. I mean, the hatred toward her was just palpable. And the fact that they were not allowed to chalk on campus, even things like Trump 2016.
Ban chalk.
They banned it. And there are certain trigger words, including Trump, that they were not allowed to use. They did chalk like build a wall. Well, that was an issue in the campaign. They were, that was seen as just open hostility, racist behavior for just, presenting a policy position.
I'd like to build a wall around the Lincoln Park campus to enclose DePaul from the rest of civilized society.
It was really a wake-up call for me, at least, that we're doing something. We're just going down the wrong path of creating all these divisions, because a lot of the student body agreed, we're against this woman who's has a really tough role as just trying to present a different political point of view.
Here's my experience in day-to-day life. I've said this before. I see people of different races in workplace settings, in social settings, getting along just fine. The time I don't see people of different races and cultures and other demographics getting along is when it's organized for them not to get along. Right, when it's in the protest form, the Black Lives Matter form, pitting one group against another in some kind of, Roman Colosseum-esque rhetorical situation, whether a political debate, something that's politically charged. That's when I don't see them getting along. Yeah, there's differences of opinion, but I find it just contrary to experience. And the experience of so many that, you may have feelings about how some people are, but in your everyday life, do you really run into a lot of racially charged situations? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Now, you may, if you have somebody at work who is one of these perpetually aggrieved types. I'm always being slighted by society and and certain demographics in society, and you're part of that demographic, so you're culpable as well. But I'm talking about people who are reasonable, not people who are beset by their own kind of adherence to victimology. Is that wrong?
No, I mean, I think that's largely correct. I mean, I live in a very diverse community that Mount Greenwood, the next community over, obviously has gone through turmoil, and there have been protests, and I'm not going to defend a single Mount Greenwood resident who stood at those protests and held up a sign that called the black protesters animals. There was one person using a megaphone calling them buckwheat. Okay, that I will never defend that.
That's ignorant, right? Of course, they're one-off examples of ignorance.
Well, exactly. But in the days after this series of protests, and most of the protesters were there for police, and that's great. I mean, police need more support than they get in the city, and that's what most of the protesters were chanting. But the very next day, after this shouting match that lasted hours and days, black and white people shopping, going to the grocery store together, walking their dogs. So to your point, yes, day to day, it is, we all get along, but there are these outbursts that make me very concerned about where we're headed.
Yeah, but these outbursts are organized. They're not spontaneous. There's purpose behind the outbursts and those that are trying to foment discord. That's my point, I suppose. You have a lot of, for lack of a better phrase, puppet masters that dispatch people to gin up disharmony.
Well, that was the case certainly with the first couple of days of protests. There's no question that these were, called in. It was on social media that a lot of the protesters were organized. There's the same people who protest downtown, and I think probably are, I don't want to say hired guns, but that's kind of their role, is to go and do that. And that's why I think you saw the neighborhood rise up, because
like like Creamy Bob and his friends over on the left. Let me add this to the mix. Jason Riley's piece in Wall Street Journal. Harlem gives President Trump a chance. May come as a shock to the political left, but not everyone who opposed Donald Trump is as angry or despondent as the demonstrators who grabbed headlines nationwide. On Monday, I took a stroll around New York City's Harlem neighborhood, asked a couple dozen black residents to respond to the election and subsequent protests. I didn't come across any Trump voters, or at least any who admitted it, but many told me they expected Hillary's defeat for various reasons. She didn't fight enough, she wasn't weak enough, America wasn't ready for a female president, so on and so forth. But when he asked certain people about what comes next, for example, when I asked this guy Pace, who retired from a job in dress manufacturing several years ago, if he thought Trump would ever win him over, he responded, he said he'd protect Medicare. I can go along with that. He said he'd get rid of the Bloods and Crips and the gangs, get them out of here. I like that. If he does those two things, he's my man. Derek, an off-duty police officer, told me that he considers Trump a con artist who tricked people into voting for him and won't come through. But I'll give him this, he said. Hillary wasn't talking about securing this country, and that's what he was talking about. People are watching people get blown up by these terrorists, and they're scared, and she was talking about an open border. She didn't emphasize scrutinizing the people who are coming in, and he did. Storefront Church on Frederick Douglass Boulevard, Bishop Gibson, he said, first, it doesn't bother me a bit if Trump is in there or not. I don't lose a minute's sleep. My president is Jesus. But then he went on to say to the demonstrators, I don't understand. You're protesting, you're rioting, but did you vote? Some did, but a lot didn't. Bishop Gibson said Trump's law and order message resonated with Harlemites, and ultimately the president can't do much about crime. It starts with communities, but he can provide rhetorical leadership on the issue, and in terms of things like supporting police officers who are on the front lines of dealing with crime at the local level. And he went on to say these protesters tearing up stores and businesses and apartments won't solve nothing. Maybe it's more complicated than just the binary race or tolerance issue, right? Maybe it is about substantive quality of life and policy choices that impact said quality of life. Another op-ed for consideration, Bill Duncan, who's a technologist and writer in St. Louis, Missouri, on the pages of your paper, Christian. I'm a Donald Trump supporter, pollsters missed. I'm one of the endangered species called the American middle class, writes Mr. Duncan. I've worked many jobs from labor to VP of operations. I've lived and worked all over the world. And he said, he ignored the pollster calls, and he said, astonishingly, filmmaker Michael Moore, with whom I disagree about almost everything, got it right. I'm angry and I'm frustrated. The leaders in both parties thought I'd forget and just continue to let all this slide. They thought I didn't understand how they have been lining their own pockets by funneling money through devices like the Clinton Foundation. They thought I would accept their push to move American governance under the umbrellas of international agreements, alliances, and trade deals designed to enrich a few corrupt politicians at the expense of American workers. They thought I'd voluntarily remain impotent as the median U.S. household income declined, illegal immigrants continued to enter the U.S., and the sovereignty of our borders was shredded. They thought I'd get over the way the IRS was used to target conservatives. The Justice Department ignored laws like the Defense of Marriage Act. America is not intolerant, writes Mr. Duncan. It is kind and welcoming, and insists only people insist only that people follow the rule of law and assimilate if they come here. America is not dull. It teams with innovation and invention and productivity at all levels, unmatched by anyone in the world. America is not evil. In fact, it remains, even with all its flaws, the single greatest force for good in the world, and it has since the early 1900s. And he basically says, look, I'm the normal, faceless American citizen that nobody in a newsroom pays much mind to. And so how would the person seated next to you in New York City television studio know that? Seriously, you should get out more, is his message to the Illuminati, the glitterati in the D.C. press corps and on the coasts.
He also says in that piece that he was not an enthusiastic Trump voter, which I think is an important distinction, that it was a protest vote against all of the things that he talked about in that piece. And I think a lot of Trump voters feel the same way. They were not necessarily gung-ho on Trump, and it was difficult to defend him throughout the entire process. But, to label all these people as racist, ignorant ignoramuses, which you still hear, is just absolutely wrong. It's just completely wrong.
Oh, the hyperventilating. Andrew Sullivan is hyperventilating the New Yorker this week along those same lines. But by the way, great reference. Gung-ho, perfect timing. The Michael Keaton movie where, with the Japanese coming in to take over an auto manufacturing plant, and then ultimately they get along in the end. There's some discord, but then, so it's a very nice cinematic reference you made in terms of
I did that on
racial
purpose.
Healing, gung-ho.
I did that on purpose. Norma Ray will be coming up next. I'll try to weave her somehow.
Bill and McHenry, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, folks. I think I'm going to disagree with Amy. I think there are hired guns out there. There's some people that hate America, and one of them is George Soros, and he would stir this, foment the word you used, Dan, foment this anger, and also pit one ethnicity against another, and that's their mission in life. This president promised to significantly transform the country, and it's not his fault, but we've allowed that to happen. And it's up to us to take charge of it. You look back to I'm an old guy, but you look back to the 60s, there was a movie, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, with Sidney Poitier and Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy. And Sidney Poitier looked at his dad and he said, Dad, you look at yourself as a black man. I look at myself as a man. When are we going to get rid of these hyphens and live as Americans? And I think we have the power to do that.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Bill. Jordan in Forest Park.
Yes, good morning. I got a different view of these protesters. I actually think that this movement helps the Republicans and will help them in the midterm. And that's because a lot of the people that voted for Trump have associated the protesters with the Democratic Party, in part because of the president not denouncing them, the Democratic Party not denouncing them. And so this is an issue that, regardless of maybe what Trump does, with the country, there's going to be a large group of people that are going to vote against the Democrats because of their support for the protesters.
Thanks.
I think it helps the Republican Party.
Thanks, Jordan.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Peter forgot to order supplies for the office, and the boss is not happy.
Peter, we're out of toilet paper.
I'm sorry, boss. I'll order supplies right now. They should be here by next week.
Next week?
Peter really needs to call Combined Sales. Combined Sales has the products and solutions your business can't live without. From paper to pens, packaging, janitorial and safety supplies, and food service, Combined Sales to the rescue. They're local and can get you the supplies needed to keep your business running smoothly, fast, and at a great price. Plus, you'll deal with real people, not just another faceless internet site. You'll have an outside rep, an inside rep, and a customer service rep. Right now, Combined Sales has a presidential offer for new customers. This is huge! Open a business account today, order $500 in supplies, and you'll earn 5% in Co-op reward dollars on all purchases for the next 3 months. Plus, receive a bonus $50 Co-op reward. Request an account set up today at CombinedSales.com. CombinedSales.com.
You've heard the name Turnkey IT for years on this radio station, and you know that they do something with IT for business. The truth is that Turnkey IT supports users, not simply computer devices. The average consumer now has under 4 connected devices they use daily: smartphones, tablets, laptops, desktops. And these devices connect to fitness devices, watches, thermostats, even refrigerators. The professionals at Turnkey IT help you connect all of them together so your company is as connected as you want it to be. Turnkey IT has a team of professionals who help users every day, just like you and me. From the simplest to the most complex systems, they make technology workable, usable, and reliable. If you're tired of just settling for technology and want to really make your technology work for you, visit turnkey.pro today to see how simple and affordable it can be to get your tech world spinning. That's turnkey.pro. Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Gina Labus, President and CEO of Mid-States Glass and Metal and a customer of Signature Bank since 2011. As we expanded our business into all aspects of the glass and metal industry, we needed a bank who could grow along with us. That's when we met Mick O'Rourke, co-founder of Signature Bank. Mick and his team took the time to understand the ebbs and flows of our business. They worked with us to find a solution that would support our growth. Mid-States Glass and Metal is proud to work with Signature Bank because they support Chicagoland women-owned businesses like mine.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. Stay warm this winter. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for winter storms and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000. That's 630-834-6000 or charlesequipment.com. charlesequipment.com.
Are you a business owner or manager who wants your facility to be more locked down? Do you occasionally need to limit access to your building from certain employees at certain times? Turn to Access Master, a proud supporter of AM 560 and Feed the Children. Access Master makes managing access to your facility easy. Whether you need to control access at a single entrance or to all your doors, Access Master will work with you to develop a plan customized for your business security needs. Everyone in your organization can have their own unique access profile to allow them access at certain times of days at various entrances. You can even monitor when employees are on site and receive an email or text notification in real time if employees need to enter your facility after hours. Business owners and managers, make an appointment to review options for controlling access to your facility. Contact Access Master today to help control access to your facilities. Call 800-321-2850. That's 800-321-2850. Please mention this ad.
The Sean Hannity Show.
How deep, how profound what you have done is now going to impact this country, I would argue, in such a positive way compared to what it would have been. Just the Supreme Court of the United States alone will transform this country in such a powerful, positive way.
Sean Hannity, afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Alice, owner of a growing company. Our entire business depends on our phones, so I was challenged when our phone service providers struggled to deliver our calls. Missed calls means lost revenue. I heard Innovative Networks helped AM 560, so I called. They provided an innovative solution that reinforced our phone infrastructure and enhanced call flow. I truly appreciate how comprehensive, diligent, and cost-effective Innovative Networks was in providing us a solution that scales as my business expands. They even replaced our outdated phone system and provided hands-on training to maximize our capabilities. Amazingly, it cost us nothing. I'm saving money and more focused on growing my business. I'm thrilled with Innovative Networks.
Follow Alice's lead and call Innovative Networks at 312-889-9090. They're A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau. Call 312-889-9090 or visit go4inet.com. Are you happy with your carrier?
Coming up at 6:06, well, Senator Rand Paul is taken out after former U.S. Ambassador to the UN, John Bolton, says wrong choice for Secretary of State. We'll get Ambassador Bolton's response after we check the headlines from Mike Scott.
Dan, this morning, a deadly natural gas explosion investigation continues near Peoria. Aldermen unanimously approved Mayor Emanuel's Chicago 2017 budget. Governor Rauner is still insisting on reforms in the budget process. Sunshine ahead for today. Breezy. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. Donald Trump will get more advice today as he builds his administration, meeting with former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, and he'll sit down with potential cabinet choices. Those under consideration are being told
anyone that would sign up to be part of the Trump administration would have to sign an agreement that they would not lobby for 5 years.
That's Sid Miller, the Texas Ag Commissioner, who's being looked at for Agriculture Secretary. President-elect Trump will also have his first in-person meeting with a world leader today.
Japan's Prime Minister says he wants to discuss Mr. Trump's vision overseas. Shinzo Abe saying the U.S. alliance is central to Japan's security, but it only works when it's based on trust. Japan is also worried that Mr. Trump may kill the Trans-Pacific Partnership free trade deal.
Fox's Alistair Wanklin in Tokyo. Candidate Trump called that TPP a horrible deal for America. The anti-Trump protests keep happening. This time at colleges and universities nationwide, students walking out of classes. They were pro-immigrant demonstrations calling for their campuses to be safe havens for those here illegally. Hillary Clinton's having a hard time watching all that. She made her first public appearance last night since her concession speech. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave admitting she wanted to curl up and never leave the house again at times. Clinton told supporters in Washington to never, ever give up.
We need you. America needs you. Your energy, your ambition, your talent. That's how we get through this.
Clinton gave the emotional speech at the Children's Defense Fund, where she once worked as a law student. Meanwhile, her former political rival, Bernie Sanders, is part of a new, expanded Democratic leadership team in the Senate that will work to reconnect with rural and Rust Belt voters. Dave.
Rachel, a hearing is scheduled today in federal court on a request by the media to open a hearing to determine whether Dylan Roof is competent to stand trial for killing 9 black worshipers in a Charleston, South Carolina church. This is Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
Partly cloudy skies, 49 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. One person is dead, 10 others seriously hurt following a natural gas explosion in downtown Canton, Illinois. The explosion taking place overnight in the town just southwest of Peoria, causing damage to several structures in the area. The person killed was an Ameren, Illinois utility employee. Mayor Emanuel says, yes, he is pleased after Chicago aldermen unanimously approved his 2017 City of Chicago budget yesterday.
We're not done. We have more work ahead. We should take note of the progress, but use that as encouragement to do more work in fixing our fiscal position.
Governor Rauner is taking the fiscal reins of the budget discussions in Springfield, as AM 560's David Stewart reports.
Governor Rauner says at least some elements of his reform agenda must be included in any budget deal that also has a tax hike. Rauner passed out copies of 5 of his reform plans to legislative leaders and said later it's time for Democrats to stop blaming him for the lack of a balanced budget.
And they're saying somehow it's my fault.
I mean, come on. Can we please grow up? We're not 6-year-olds. Let's deal with reality. Let's get good long-term decisions made to help the people of Illinois.
Rauner says, though, that he does have a backup plan if no deal is approved by the end of the year when the current stopgap budget runs out. David Stewart, NBC News Radio, Chicago.
A special prosecutor says a grand jury has been impaneled to hear evidence into a possible cover-up by Chicago police officers in the fatal shooting of Laquan McDonald. And Naperville police are looking for a man and a woman who suspected of robbing a local pharmacy with a syringe they claim was contaminated with HIV. Authorities say the incident happened Tuesday at a CVS on Ogden Avenue. Robbers threatening workers with that needle before stealing numerous medications and then fleeing the scene. College football, Northern Illinois, an overtime win over Eastern Michigan in the MAC. College hoops, UIC, Illinois State, Northern Illinois with wins. Northwestern falls to Butler on a last-second shot, 70-68. The news service of Illinois Partners for Clean Air with today's cars. Idling your engine for just 10 seconds wastes more gas and money than stopping and restarting your car. Learn to breathe easy and save easy with Illinois Partners for Clean Air at cleantheair.org. 6:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager doesn't understand the mindset of Trump protesters.
Very many had these signs, love Trump's hate, witty. And in the meantime, they were yelling expletives at the police, like F the pigs, while holding a sign on behalf of love. There is no beautiful idea that some people have not used to cover for their evil.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Wildfires, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, a crashing economy. Are you ready? At best, your local stores have a 3-day supply of food. Will your family have to fight over what's left? Be wise and be ready with 25-year shelf life Wise Food Storage. Try it free. Order a no-obligation free sample meal, and for a limited time, get a 10% discount and free shipping on all orders. Call for your free sample now. 800-596-0026. 800-596-0026.
These days, you gotta have a side hustle. And I'm not talking about a 9-to-5. I'm talking about driving with Uber. It's the ultimate side hustle. You wanna earn extra money? Drive with Uber. Have a few spare hours here and there? Drive with Uber. You like the idea of being your own boss? Drive with Uber. You'd make a great boss. You're probably driving right now. You should be earning. If you want your car to start making you money, then visit uber.com/drive now and get your side hustle on today. That's uber.com/drive now.
6:06. Let's get an update on the roads in our AM 560 traffic center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. In Wadsworth, northbound 41 remains closed. Stern School Road to Wadsworth Road due to a crash with injuries. And in Skokie, Golf Road is closed for a couple of blocks due to a crash at Tripp. The closure's been Kildare and Keeler. Eden Spur, heavy eastbound past Waukegan Road. Past that, the Edens is still okay. Kennedy, 22 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 21. Eisenhower's 39 minutes. Thorndale to the post office downtown, outbound 31 minutes. Stevenson, 43 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 23 minutes, 95 to downtown. Eastbound Adams Tollway slow for the Tri-State to Kennedy. The traffic is a service of Firestone Complete Auto Care. Be prepared for winter, spring, summer, and fall with Firestone FR710 all-season tires. Now 10% off at Firestone Complete Auto Care. Whatever you drive, drive a Firestone. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
It's a good idea. Snow could be on the way. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Here is our meteorologist, Ashley Benoit.
Breezy and nice today with sunshine throughout the day, high 72. Clear skies early tonight, then increasing clouds, breezy and mild late overnight, low 58. Mostly cloudy and windy tomorrow with showers during the midday, high 66. I'm Ashley Benoit on AM 560, The Answer.
Yeah, watch out for those flurries on Saturday afternoon. 49 degrees officially at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Secure Retirement Radio with Raj Shah. Sunday mornings at 7, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
I ask you to stay engaged. Stay engaged on every level.
What I said to them is this isn't that complicated. They don't align themselves with the Democratic Party because they don't think Democrats like them.
Right now, I think he's an illegitimate president of the United States.
Why is he illegitimate? He just won an election.
He would have to legitimize. He didn't win the general election, so he's got too many people against him.
The president-elect used his campaign for our country's highest office to promote policy ideas that would not only pollute the planet, but expose millions of Americans and billions worldwide to loss of life, livelihood, and property.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So one of the most over-reported, melodramatized stories of the last week is the supposed infighting in the Trump camp, the Trump transition team. You know, some people come, some people go, some people are jockeying for different cabinet posts and other important presidential appointments, and some people aren't. And I understand the media has to make a big deal about this because they've got to, fill their pages and fill their 24-hour cable news networks. But so much of this, to me, is overblown. The Steve Bannon stuff, in particular. What say you, Chicago Tribune editorial board member Kristen McQuarrie?
I would agree with that. I mean, I did some digging about Steve Bannon, and most of the criticism about him is like 6 degrees of separation. An article that was posted on Breitbart that people interpret to be I have not. He had a radio show. If he was an anti-Semite or he was a racist human being, wouldn't they have audio? Wouldn't there something have emerged that was more concrete than here are 6 headlines from Breitbart that prove that he is A, B, and C? So and you know what? There was a lot of controversy when Rahm Emanuel was chosen chief of staff for President Obama. Mm-hmm. Someone who made some disparaging remarks. If you wanted to jump on the feminist bandwagon, he told a male counterpart to take his tampon out and get to whatever point he was trying to make. He used, very rough language. He used the word retard at one time and had to make a statement of apology. So I think a lot of it is overblown, but I'm going to hold out, to see with Steve Bannon if he turns. Everyone around him says he is not this person that he's made out to be.
And even people who don't like him, like Alan Dershowitz, a man of the left, says, like, I haven't seen the evidence to make the case. And maybe we should exercise a little restraint when we throw around words like anti-Semite, because if you don't, then they become rendered meaningless through overuse and misapplication. That's not to say there are not some controversies. I mean, just differences of opinion about personnel choices and viewpoints that would be prevalent in particular posts. Rand Paul yesterday took up the matter of Secretary of State. Now, remember, Rand Paul was basically thrown off stage during the debate by Donald Trump early on in the primary campaign. But Rand Paul on the prospect of either Rudy Giuliani or former U.S. Ambassador to the UN, John Bolton, being Trump's pick for Secretary of State.
Bolton is the antithesis. Bolton is so far out there. He's advocating bombing everyone in the world. But Bolton is someone who is an unrepentant supporter of the Iraq War. But I also think Rudy Giuliani is as well. And I think Giuliani's been a friend to Trump, and I'm sure he's going to find a place in the administration. But I just think it would be less damaging if they found a place where he didn't completely disagree with President-elect Trump.
By the way, Rand Paul suggested someone like perhaps Tennessee Senator Bob Corker for Secretary of State as somebody who's more, quote-unquote, mainstream. Well, let's get a response from our friend, former U.S. Ambassador to the UN, a scholar at the American Enterprise Institute. He is Ambassador John Bolton, who joins us now. Ambassador Bolton, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
Well, good morning. Glad to be with you.
So what about Rand Paul? You out there advocating bombing everyone and everything?
I'm kind of old school on the notion of presidential appointments, and I just think it's dishonorable to try and box the president-elect in by arguing in public about who the nominee ought to be. I recognize that leaves somebody in that position open to this kind of criticism, which is utterly unfounded. But beyond saying that, I'm just not going to get into it. I think that the president-elect's going to make his decisions in God's good time, and then we'll all move on from there.
What about the kind of direction, though, of Trump foreign policy, and in particular the advocates that are in the Rand Paul camp of sort of, I don't want to say isolationism, but certainly detachment from the New World Order?
Well, I think Trump made several speeches during the course of the campaign. I think those speeches put him well within the Republican mainstream on foreign policy issues. Obviously, you're not in a campaign, you're not debating these issues at enormous length, but he's made it clear what I think is the absolute prerequisite to fulfill the larger promise to make America great again, is that Trump put central emphasis on rebuilding the American military, which has been debilitated under 8 years of Obama budgets. And that will carry a certain amount of controversy with it as well, but it's exactly the right thing to do, because to restore the positions of the structures of deterrence that Obama has weakened over 8 years, you need to be in a position to demonstrate you can act if the deterrence fails. And your diplomacy is never stronger than when the American military is strong.
So, Ambassador, give us a behind-the-scenes look at what the Trump transition team is doing in terms of looking for a Secretary of State. Have you met with them? What sorts of questions are they asking? And also maybe line up a little bit your experience compared to someone like Rudy Giuliani, who keeps getting mentioned.
Well, again, I don't think it's appropriate, not gentlemanly, really, to get into what's going on behind the scenes, because fundamentally you're exposing a decision-making process that is intended to support the president-elect's decision. I've spent a lot of time in the executive branch of government. I believe in executive privilege. I think that confidentiality and decision-making is essential to having a full, open discussion among the president's advisors. So, we live in an age where you can barely walk down the street without somebody tweeting that you just passed them on the sidewalk. I can only speak for my own preference here. I just think getting into it is not appropriate. When there's an appropriate time, I have never been shy about giving anybody my opinion, but there's a time and a place for it, and right now it's not the time or the place.
Well, then let's go back to kind of the policy arena. If you're advising Donald Trump, even just as a pundit and a foreign policy expert, the most destructive foreign policy decision Barack Obama made that needs to be addressed, shortly after President Trump takes office?
Well, it's unquestionably the nuclear deal with Iran, which has been a strategic defeat for the United States of incalculable proportions. It has put Iran on a path to deliverable nuclear weapons, basically at a time of its choosing. It gave Iran basically all of the tangible benefits of the deal right at the front end, the relief from international sanctions, the unfreezing of, depending on how you calculate it, up to $150 billion of previously frozen assets, all in exchange for really insignificant, easily reversible concessions by Iran on the nuclear front. And all of the compliance that you expect from Iran takes place over an 8, 10, or 15-year period going down the road. We don't have great intelligence inside Iran. We have next to no intelligence inside North Korea, where it's entirely possible that Iranian and North Korean scientists are working jointly on aspects of the nuclear weapons program, as they have been working together for nearly 20 years at least on the ballistic missile program, which is significant because for both Iran and North Korea, ballistic missiles have a common purpose. They're not to launch weather satellites or communication satellites. They are delivery vehicles for nuclear warheads. So I think this is extraordinarily dangerous agreement, which I don't think Iran is complying with. I don't think they have since before the ink was dry, and which has provoked the nuclear arms race in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Turkey, perhaps others, taking steps to get their own indigenous nuclear weapons capability.
And the International Atomic Energy Agency agrees with you about Iran violating the terms of the agreement, but the one of the Panjand drums over at the EU doesn't, saying earlier this week that, well, Trump can't just walk away from the Iranian nuclear deal because it's a multilateral agreement. But isn't it the case that at least America can, whether the rest of the world wants to or not?
Yeah. Look, I am so tired of this theology in international affairs that once you make an agreement, it's forever. It's simply not true. And in the case either of what the Obama administration itself has called a political agreement, which is what this is, or in the case of a treaty, under the Constitution, our president has the sole right to withdraw America from that treaty or that agreement. I'll give you one example. I participated in it myself for George W. Bush, who wanted to build a national missile defense capability to protect the United States against rogue states like Iran and North Korea launching nuclear weapons at us. So we were constrained by the 1972 anti-ballistic missile treaty with the Soviet Union, which Russia succeeded to. And my first job as undersecretary at the State Department for President Bush and Secretary Powell was to go and negotiate our way out of that treaty with the Russians. We hoped they'd pull out of it with us. There are only two parties, but we wanted to do it together. The Russians declined to do it, so we gave notice of withdrawal, which you're permitted to do under the treaty, and we withdrew after the 6-month treaty waiting period. A president can abrogate treaties or deals at will, and if that's not understood, then it needs to be explained. Now, look, I don't have any illusions about how bad the situation is with Iran. If I had to bet right now, I would bet overwhelmingly that the most likely outcome is that Iran gets nuclear weapons. This deal made it easier for them to get nuclear weapons, and the Iranians knew it, and I think Obama knew it. They were trying to suck the Europeans in to extensive trade and investment deals with Iran to make the thought of withdrawing from the deal economically unpleasant. Now, we're not done with that yet either. You know, the Europeans can lift their sanctions. The House of Representatives voted almost unanimously yesterday or the day before to extend the Iran Sanctions Act that's been in place, not simply because of Iran's nuclear activities, but because of its state sponsorship of terrorism. Let's never forget, although Obama appeared to do so, Iran is the central banker of international terrorism and has been since 1979. Iran has not changed its behavior since the nuclear deal was agreed in the summer of 2015. If anything, its behavior has gotten worse. So I'd be prepared to debate this question at length. As you can tell, it's a serious mistake for the United States. It's a serious mistake for Israel. It's a serious mistake for our Arab friends in the Middle East. And although they don't fully appreciate it, it's a serious mistake for the Europeans, too.
How would you get around Congress? I mean, you would advise Trump to undo the deal, even though it has overwhelming support in the House and Senate and an extension of the deal. It does not have overwhelming support. It does not have overwhelming support. And it doesn't matter constitutionally. The president has the authority. And I think if you look at polls, to the extent that one believes their accuracy, there's been substantial and indeed majority opposition to this deal from the American people. And I think the more we explain what's wrong with the deal and what Iran gets out of it and the danger it poses, more and more people would understand it.
Before we let you go, I want to get your take on another instance where the revolt may present itself in a different country. We've had Brexit. We've had the Trump election. The first week of December, you have a referendum in Italy. Prime Minister Renzi there trying to get voter approval for essentially more powers for the central government. And early reports are that no is leading. I wonder how important that referendum is and what it will signal if the government is defeated in terms of their desire for more power. Well,
I think most people do interpret this referendum as an opportunity for the Italian population to vote sort of on their general level of dissatisfaction with policy across the entire European Union. It's a bad issue for Renzi to have picked the vote on. Do you want to give me more power or not? Yes or no? I mean, 3 guesses what the instant reaction to that would be. But I think it's also reflective of popular dissatisfaction around the European Union. And it's not on issues like immigration or racial matters or religious matters, as so many people would like you to believe. I think if you look at Brexit and you look at a lot of the popular dissatisfaction within Europe, it's people saying, you know, we can govern ourselves. We don't need our betters in Brussels, the high-minded of the world, telling us what to do. We'll govern ourselves. And I think that's a very strong sentiment in the United States. It was a strong sentiment from the beginning because, after all, in the American system, the Constitution's very clear in its first 3 words: who has sovereignty? We the people. And we the people are speaking in Italy, and they spoke in Brexit, and I think there's more to come.
All right. He is former U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Ambassador John Bolton. Thanks, as always, for joining us. Appreciate it.
Glad to be with you. Thanks for having me.
And he joined us on Turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Rand Paul described him as combative. I wanted to get some more combative. Today, your weather forecast: shiny, breezy, temperature near the record of 74 degrees, which was set in 1975. We should get up to about 72 degrees before we turn colder for the weekend. And now you have a check of traffic with Jim Talamonte.
Well, Kristen, good morning. On the northbound tri-state, commuters are battling delays. Southwest Highway to the 83rd Street toll, then from Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue curve, it's very heavy. On the Edens, it's 27 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound is 20. The Kennedy, 26 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 22. The Eisenhower, 46 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, outbound 33. Stevenson heavy now at 55 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 25 minutes. 95th to downtown. Jim Talamonte in the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Speaking of John Bolton, gentlemen, it's Movember. Yeah, another month to remind us to take better care of our health. Many of us are going to grow Bolton-style mustaches this month, but hey, why not go to a doctor you can trust, too? I personally recommend going to the licensed medical providers at Low T Center. They're friends of mine you can trust at Low T Center. They know we hate going to the doctor. That's why they make it quick and easy. And with their on-site lab, you'll get your results in about 20 minutes. They even accept most health insurance and have flexible hours, including hours on Saturdays. And right now, in honor of Movember, Low T Center is offering a testosterone and prostate level test for just $50. It's a great time to get your levels checked, especially if you don't have insurance or if you haven't met your deductible yet. Call 630-409-4305. That number, 630-409-4305. Give my friends at Low T Center a call and tell them Dan Prof sent you. That's me. The number, 630-409-4305, or visit them online at lowtcenter.com.
Message and data rates may apply.
If you're considering going back to school, ask yourself the following questions. Do you need the flexibility to take classes on your schedule? Do you have college credits you need transferred? Do you want to earn a quality degree from a world-renowned university? If you answered yes to any of these questions, Arizona State University is the perfect school for you. Arizona State University offers over 100 highly ranked degree programs 100% online. You'll earn the same degree as you would on campus from wherever you are on your schedule. Plus, ASU Online accepts most transfer credits.
For information, text the word degree to 35517.
Learn for yourself why the Wall Street Journal ranks ASU 5th in the nation for producing the best qualified graduates, and why 90% of ASU grads are recruited within 90 days of graduation. Learn to grow, learn to succeed, and learn to thrive at Arizona State University.
To learn more about ASU online degrees, text degree to 35517. Again, that's degree to 35517.
Over the last few months, the stock market has been nothing short of a roller coaster ride. Is there another big correction on the horizon? Are you prepared? Or are you at the mercy of stockbrokers if it does happen? Let Online Trading Academy teach you how to navigate the stock market during these changing times. They offer professional trading and investing education for every skill level. They'll teach you a rules-based strategy, trading on knowledge, not speculations, so you can identify market changes before they happen. Online Trading Academy has a state-of-the-art educational facility centrally located in Lombard. Call today, 877-OTA-CHIC. That's 877-682-2442 to attend a free half-day course. Call now and mention you You heard this message on AM 560 The Answer, and they'll send you home with a free home video study course valued at $247 just for attending. This is a great opportunity to learn from the pros. Reservations are limited, so call now 877-682-2442 or online at tradingacademy.com/Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, and in for Amy, who is protesting Max Scherzer getting the Cy Young over Kyle Hendricks, is Kristen McQuarrie, a Sox fan. And Kristen, a.k.a. Ray, the one constant, has always been baseball. The one constant in America's baseball.
Is this heaven? Oh, no, you're doing... Wait, is that Field of Dreams?
James Earl Jones.
No,
yeah.
it's Iowa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for
I'm
your
really
contribution.
On my game.
Yeah. So Kyle Hendricks got snubbed after Joe Madden got snubbed, and Justin Verlander got snubbed in the American League for Cy Young, and Kate Upton, his fiance, was none too happy about it.
Yeah, she tweeted some naughty things. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to really cleanse this to say it on the radio.
Yeah.
Yeah. She said, "Hey, MLB, I thought I was the only person allowed to bleep Justin Verlander. What two writers didn't have him on their ballot?" Yeeks.
Wow. He got this is like complaining about the Electoral College. He got the majority of the first place votes, and two writers didn't have him on their ballots, so that allowed Rick Porcello from the Red Sox to win the Cy Young in the American League. And Kate Upton has filed a complaint with the league office to redo how they do the voting, just like Barbara Boxer has in the U.S. Senate to redo how we do voting in this country, get rid of the Electoral College. But, you know, I once was enamored with Kate Upton, but I don't like her potty mouth.
That's what I thought.
It's very disappointing.
I mean, she is a Christian, but I knew you would object to that kind of
tweeting.
Uncle
Fred
very
Upton.
classless.
Uncle Fred Upton, Michigan congressman, cannot be happy about those tweets.
I wouldn't think so.
I suggest a little talking to. On a related note, Presidential Medal of Freedom recipients announced, including one Vin Scully, staying in baseball, and one Michael, number 23.
Oh.
He played for the Chicago Bulls. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Right. I was nerding out and thinking of the other. How many are there? Like 5 or 6 getting the Congressional Medal of Honor?
No, yes, Presidential Medal of Freedom.
I'm sorry.
They're getting a Medal of Honor. If they were giving Vin Scully or Michael Jordan the Medal of Honor, I think there would be some issues.
Wait, was Bruce Springsteen on the list?
Now,
or something?
Kate Upton, if she wants the Medal of Honor. No. Yeah, Springsteen was, and somebody else, some other musician. I don't know.
Come on.
Who cares?
I'll try.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
A senior software engineer full stack is needed to develop applications and tools utilized internally and externally, contribute to requirements gathering, architecture, design, and implementation of enterprise-class UI and web portals, deliver on software projects using proven development processes Agile and Scrum, develop improvements for front-end best practices and web application layer implementation. Candidate must possess a bachelor's degree or equivalent in computer science or management information systems. Equivalency will be considered based on a measure of 1 year of university education equals 3 years of work experience. Must also have 3 years experience with PHP, MySQL database, and Python. Also required are experience in service-oriented architecture, SOA, MVC standard, modern coding security practices, and hosting industry, employment or ownership of server VM, and permanent U.S. work authorization. Please send resume and cover letter to Deanna Swanson, HR Director of Singlehop, LLC, 500 West Madison Street, Suite 801, Chicago, Illinois, 60661.
AM 560, The Answer.
So we're going through the list of the Medal of Freedom recipients, and it's like all of President Obama's wannabe celebrity friends that he wants to hang out with after he leaves. Robert Redford and Bobby De Niro and Tom Hanks. Yeah.
He wants to have a little Hollywood party before he goes.
Also, Steve Bartman, going to get a Medal of Freedom, I believe, too, is to try and make amends.
If anybody could find him. I mean, I like that we're talking about what can we do for him, but, I mean, he has been underground.
Should have had him throw out the pitch. First World Series game at Wrigley. The Ricketts missed that one. Coming up at 6:36. When does Lois Lerner and the rest of the criminals at the IRS go to prison? We'll ask Peter Roskam for an update. But first, we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
One person dead, 10 others hurt. It's following a natural gas explosion. It happened in downtown Canton, Illinois, a town of about 30 miles southwest of Peoria. There's major damage to structures in the area. 11 victims hospitalized. One later died. According to Ameren, Illinois, the utility, the person killed there was an Ameren employee. Both former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani and former UN Ambassador John Bolton, who we just talked to, are reported to be under consideration to serve as Secretary of State in a Trump administration. But yesterday, Republican Senator Rand Paul says he's not in favor of either one.
I want a Secretary of State that actually understands and has learned from the lessons of the Middle East. And I guess I worry that people like John Bolton and really, frankly, Mayor Giuliani, they have, I would call them unrepentant advocates for the Iraq War.
President-elect Trump scheduled to meet with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe later today. Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull says he was one of the first world leaders to talk with Donald Trump following his election win. But he apparently got the president-elect's phone number from golfer Greg Norman.
In diplomacy and politics, you use lots of networks. And all I can say is we have great networks, great connections, and Greg Norman is a great Australian.
There have been several reports that Norman simply passed along Trump's number to the Australian ambassador to the U.S., who then gave it to the prime minister. Ahmed Rahami will be arraigned today for a bombing and attempted bombing in New York City. Manhattan U.S. District Attorneys say Rahami was charged yesterday on 8 counts related to the Chelsea attacks. Mayor Emanuel pleased after Chicago aldermen unanimously passed out his 2017 fiscal spending plan yesterday. A special prosecutor says a grand jury has been impaneled to hear evidence into a possible cover-up by Chicago police officers in the fatal shooting of Laquan McDonald. And a judge is pushing back an arraignment for former Illinois Congressman Aaron Schock to December 12th. The Peoria native indicted by a grand jury on 24 counts, including theft of government funds, fraud, and making false statements. College football, a MAC win for Northern Illinois, topping Eastern Michigan in overtime. College hoops, UIC, Illinois State, and Northern Illinois wins. Check out the last few seconds of Butler's win over Northwestern, 70-68. The news, a service of Liberty Mutual. From weather to traffic, news, and everything in between. You have enough things to worry about every day. Insurance should not be one of them. You can leave worry behind when Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance. 6:35, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity believes Donald Trump will be successful if he does what he said.
He will be a successful president, enormously successful. If he remembers that this election is about the forgotten man, the people that have been left behind and screwed over by corruption in Washington, D.C., he will be a successful president.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're looking to relieve symptoms or support your well-being, head to Walgreens for brands you need like Advil, Robitussin, Emergency, and Nexium 24-Hour and take your health in your own hands. It's your wellness. Own it.
Are you stuck in a bad home mortgage? Well, join the club that has about 10 million other American families. But I may be able to help you. My name is Lou Bridges. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Lou Bridges & Associates. We've been helping distressed homeowners like you for over 8 years now. Give us a call. We provide free consultations. I guarantee you it will not be a sales pitch. We will give you our honest legal analysis, counsel, recommendations, and advice regarding your options.
We are experts in doing loan modifications successfully. We know the regs. We understand the process. Most importantly, we don't take no for an answer. We fight. We are prepared, and we win. We save houses. We make houses affordable. So if you want to keep your house affordable, contact us.
Go to bridgeslaw.net or call 224-513-1231. That's 224-513-1231.
Remember, people, never give up the land. Fight for truth and justice. You do that, I guarantee you'll never be alone in this country.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I've had 10 major surgeries, including 3 brain surgeries. And I have extreme rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and fibromyalgia. And I wanted to let him know that his Balance of Nature have helped boost my immune system so much because I'm on injectable medications for the rheumatoid, and they bring down your immune system. Since I've been taking Balance of Nature, I haven't gotten a cold, nothing. It really helped me tremendously.
Good health is only a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Don't miss your opportunity to get a free month supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
6:38. Let's get an update on the roads. AM 560 traffic center time. Here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. The Edens is 30 minutes from Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 21. The Kennedy, 37 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 30. Mount Eisenhower, now 54 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, outbound 37. Stevenson, an hour, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, and 45 minutes from the Tri-State, outbound 40 minutes to 3:55. The Ryan, 27 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, it's clogged up from Cicero to the 83rd Street toll, and Roosevelt to Grand Avenue. Adams tollway delays. Roselle to 53, Tri-State to the Kennedy. Traffic service of the 89-cent pancake deal at Burger King. How is this even possible? Right now at Burger King, you can get 3 pancakes for 89 cents. 3 hot, fluffy, golden pancakes for just 89 cents. Unbelievable but true. 3 pancakes, 89 cents, only at Burger King. Limited time only. Price and participation vary. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the AirComfort.com Weather Center, sunny, breezy. Temperatures will creep up near the record of 74 set back in 1975. Clear early overnight, then clouds on the increase. Breezy and mild, low 58. 48 officially at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Saul Z and the Z-Team Realty. They guarantee to sell your home in 59 days or they'll sell it for free. Log on to callsaul.net for details.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning is Chicago Tribune editorial board member Kristen McQueary. We were just speaking with John Bolton, talking Trump cabinet potential. For those who will talk about the Trump cabinet, which is no one who is under consideration will talk about it, because obviously that would undermine their standing for this process. That
no fun.
Well, you can understand why the transition team and the president-elect would want to keep the process and the interview substance confidential at this juncture. Kellyanne Conway confirmed yesterday. She's one of the members of the triumvirate that's kind of going to be the senior advisors to Donald Trump. There's some rumors that maybe she and Reince Priebus do essentially a switch. Maybe she goes over to the RNC and is out of the White House to give her more flexibility. Kind of interesting. But Kellyanne Conway clearly going to be one of President-elect Trump's and President Trump's trusted advisors with Priebus, with Bannon. She said yesterday that Trump is going to stick to his list of 21 potential judges to fill the vacancy left by Scalia's death. That you've seen the list of 21. The list does not change. He's committed to choosing his Supreme Court justice from that list of 21, which is a pretty good list that the Federalist Society and the Heritage Foundation helped to compile. And that necessarily means that Ted Cruz will not be the selection. But there are still some rumors floating around that Ted Cruz could be in the running for Attorney General.
I don't think so. I think that relationship got too soured. How could you trust him after what he did at the Republican National Convention, which I just thought was just classless, actually.
Well, that may be the case, but here's the thing about politics, right? You know this. You have to put the skepticism of people kind of within your camp, more or less. You have to put the skepticism and some of the late arrivals. You can't hold that against them, because otherwise you're just not going to have enough people. You need the skeptics who ultimately came around, no matter how late they came around. And when you look for these positions, you have to look and say, well, okay, who is going to be essentially a killer at the Department of Justice? Who is going to completely 180 that politically corrupt culture at Justice. I'm not saying Cruz is the only person who could do it, but I think it's sensible to include him in the conversation for that reason, for looking at the sum and substance of the job, don't you think?
I mean, I suppose the only other name I've heard is the Trump's immigration advisor as a possible, what's his name, Chris Kobach or something, for a potential AG appointment.
Yeah, he's Secretary of State in Kansas.
Yeah, so qualifications don't seem up to par.
Well, you've also heard Giuliani's name for Attorney General. That's also been bandied about.
I've heard it more for Secretary of State
recently, but it's been included.
What do you think about him during the course of this campaign?
I don't think the Secretary of State post makes much sense. I mean, I understand America's mayor in the wake of 9/11, and I understand Giuliani's perspective extends beyond the boundaries of New York City, but I don't think that makes sense. There are just more people with more foreign policy chops and experience in that realm than Giuliani.
We just spoke to one.
Yeah, Ambassador Bolton is a good example of that. Senators, even Rand Paul, is his suggestion of Bob Corker. That is not outside the bounds. There's much discussion that Corker is one of the names that's being considered as well. And the Supreme Court, just thinking about the 21, a strong case made in National Review today, is worth checking out, for Seventh Circuit Court Judge Diane Sykes, who is on the list of 21, and some of the kind of clear originalist thinking that has punctuated her opinions. So, thinking about SCOTUS appointments, I know people, because you think of like politicians who've stood up against pressure, Ted Cruz or a Mike Lee, who are also attorneys, and Ted Cruz especially because he was a Supreme Court clerk for Rehnquist and he was Texas Solicitor General. But you may want to examine some of the records of some of the actual judges that are on this list too. There's some very good ones. Let's quickly go to David in Lake Forest. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning. Before the election, I had a lot of misgivings about Jared Kushner and his influence on Trump. And since then, it seems to be that he's having even more influence on Trump. And the way that Trump allows nepotism to run wild within his own family business, and now with Jared Kushner. I mean, when you can pretty much force Mike Rogers out as part of that team that was with Christie, it just seems to me that Jared Kushner, who's 35 years old and is the epitome of nepotism, has an awful amount of power. And I think it's not a good sign for the Trump administration.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's unclear. I know he had a role in the campaign, and there was discussion about it. It's difficult to know. I mean, I think a lot of his power comes from the fact he's married to Ivanka, which perhaps is maybe the real power center within the Trump family. But I don't know how that manifests itself. I mean, I just don't know. So it's difficult for me to express fear about something I'm not sure actually exists.
You know what
it's kind of
nepotism
shadowy.
does, though.
Thanks for the call, David.
I'm with David. It's just to have an informal advisor role is one thing for your son-in-law, but to formalize his position within the administration.
Well,
no,
the rumor mongering by the media that Trump was trying to get security clearance for Kushner was disputed by Trump.
Yes.
So again, if he's not doing that, then I'm sorry. What exactly is the fear? And I mean, your wife is a informal advisor to the president. It certainly has historically been. I mean, first ladies have wielded enormous power and influence.
I am colored by living in Chicago, where you have entire families on the payroll reporting to their dad.
Yeah, and that's worked out great here, hasn't it? No?
How's your assessment
going? I mean, the reason I say that it's worked out great here is because I see them in those positions for centuries at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So people like this, right?
Well, I'm just saying you can't criticize it at the local Chicago level with Joe Barrios, the Cook County Democratic Party chairman, who's also the Cook County assessor, who has nieces, nephews, daughters, sons on the payroll, reporting to supervisors who then report to Joe Barrios. You can't be critical of that and then not raise an eyebrow, right, when it's happening at the federal level.
Well, potential, but the criticism here is, number one, inherent conflicts of interest, like having the attorney general be the daughter of the Speaker of the House. And number two, it's
independently elected.
Of course. I know. That's why people like this. And with the Berrios case, for example, it's our money. It's piling money into the family by putting everybody in the payroll. We're not talking about fleecing the taxpayer to have Jared Kushner or Ivanka or anybody else be informal advisors to their dad. You know what I mean? It's a bit different.
Okay.
Their dad, who's also taking $1 in terms of the salary for the office. And
if it's just a trusting, I'm sure the circle of trust within the Trump administration is quite small at this point.
Right.
And so
I
understand that, but that's the same justification given all through trickle-down government here in Chicago.
I mean, I just think the idea that your family is not going to be if you want to consult them, that consulting them is a problem. No, it's not a problem. It's a problem when you put them in positions of authority, or you're fleecing people to finance their lifestyles and putting, idiot cousins on the payroll too because they can't work anywhere else. That's not exactly what's happening here. It doesn't seem to me. And in terms of trusted advisors, it's kind of the same thing with Steve Bannon. Look, Trump is going to put his people he trusts around him. Now, he's going to be held accountable for the decisions he makes and then the influence they have on those decisions. There's going to be an accountability. The idea that, as Andrew Sullivan weeps in the New Yorker, that this is just cult of Trump and nobody will ever question him again because he was elected and he can do no wrong and his team could. No, not at all. That's not true. And so, but you can't expect people. I'm not going to put people around me I trust. I mean, I'm going to put people around me I don't trust. Well, that's not good. No, who does that? That doesn't make any sense. Ralph and Rantoul.
Hey, good morning. I think the two things you mentioned are true, and there's a third one as well. At the federal level, the Trumpster bringing in family or people that are closely associated with them, there's really very little risk that you're going to have, like generational nepotism, because after a term or two, depending on if he runs again and if he's successful, that they're going to be out, as opposed to something like this sort of, the daily dynasty of dopes running the city forever and, selling assets and using long-term sales for short-term borrowing needs. Really, really dumb financing, things like that, and all the other dumb stuff that you see with the Madigan, Speaker, AG connection. All that we're at very, very low risk of that happening federally. I think the closest we came were with the Bushes, and you kind of see some of the Bush hangers-on there for a while, but even they get pushed out.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Ralph. Holly and Hudson.
I'm really hoping that he goes with one of the Lee brothers from Utah, because they are LDS, a religious minority, 2% of the population. And I'm just really looking forward to the hypocrisy in Congress to oppose them because are we going to pick and choose religious minorities that we stand up for? I just can't wait to have that the hypocrisy shown on that debate in Congress.
Thanks for the call. Speaking of the issue of religious liberty, that Washington State Flores case going to the Supreme Court. So getting that ninth justice on the bench is going to be muy importante. Mike on the north side.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just got to call in and be argumentative here. Kristen is showing her 19th Ward Democratic colors by picking on Joe Berrios. Joe Berrios went in there with nobody to defend him, so he hired a couple family members. Let's remember the 19th Ward ran the assessor's office for almost 30 years, and mansions in Beverly were being taxed at less than condos on the west side. So, come on. This is sour grapes because you didn't get to hang on to an office after your person left.
I didn't.
The most
ridiculous.
Corrupt people in the world are the 19th Ward.
Okay.
Every one of them has got more jobs per block than Bridgeport. Let's come on.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Kristen McQuarrie Hines, do you want to respond?
I mean, no. Are most properties in Chicago, have they been generally underassessed? Was the 19th Ward a recipient of that because we had Hines as the assessor for as long as we did? Yeah, we did. And I wrote about it and I criticized it when I was a reporter at the Southtown. So to say that I'm somehow defending my 19th and the handover has been long gone. Houlihan and now Berrios. So
yeah, and Berrios, by the way, I mean, come on. A couple of family members, Mike, on the north side. And Joe Berrios, when he was on Board of Tax Review doing Madigan's bidding, I mean, Berrios as much a brick in the wall as exists. Phil in Schaumburg.
Good morning. The difference here is the Trump empire is a private sector built by nepotism, totally agree, within their own family, by people who chose to help build the Trump empire. Berrios is an elected official who built his family empire by force, taking money from taxpayers.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Taxes are forced upon you, so that's how the Berrios family got rich. Totally different types of nepotism.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Phil. Thanks for the call. I mean, the Trump business is a family-owned business. What's wrong with that? Nothing. When you make government a family-owned business, then you get Illinois.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Fed Chair Janet Yellen headed to Capitol Hill. Obamacare sign-ups far from surging. Grocery workers at Giant Foods ratifying a new contract. Those stories next.
Bill Bennett here to tell you about Augusta Precious Metals. Attention, investors. Your IRA or your 401k may be at risk again. The 2008 crash wiped out up to 50% of IRAs and 401ks. Can you afford to lose again? What if you could store IRA or 401k savings where you can see, touch, and hold it in your hands? With the Augusta Gold or Silver IRA, you transfer a portion of retirement savings into physical coins you can actually see and get fast in case of any disaster. Call Augusta Precious Metals today for a free gold and silver IRA guide. No obligation. Augusta Precious Metals, A+ Better Business Bureau rating, 98% 5-star customer satisfaction rating with TrustLink.org. Trust Augusta. Call Augusta Precious Metals today at 1-855-222-6993. That's 1-855-222-6993. One more time, 1-855-222-6993.
Just over 1 million people have signed up for or renewed Obamacare health coverage through the healthcare.gov website. Figures for open enrollment for 2017 show steady sign-ups, but certainly no surge so far. President-elect Donald Trump has promised to repeal and replace simultaneously Obamacare. Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen will testify before Congress and could provide hints about an interest rate increase next month. Also today, new jobless claims numbers, an update on housing starts, and the latest consumer price index. 17,000 workers at Giant Foods grocery stores in the Northeast have ratified a new labor contract. Giant has the highest compensated grocery workers in the region. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight at 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
What's your caliber? You've heard about Black Rhino holsters for concealed carry, range practice, or competitive shooting. When you see how comfortable and safe they are, you'll want one for all of your firearms. They're handcrafted in Illinois by veterans using 100% virgin Kydex and American-made fasteners. From precision fit and finish to secure retention and quick draw, a Black Rhino is the finest affordable holster. With a lifetime material warranty and workmanship guarantee, Black Rhino has tactical carrier and concealed carry systems for every caliber. You and your firearm deserve a Black Rhino. The Second Amendment protects our right to bear arms, and Black Rhino protects those arms. Black Rhino Concealment, we hold your caliber against you. Visit blackrhinoconcealment.com or call 847-783-6499 for showroom info. Use the promo code AM560 for a 10% discount on your first order. That's 847-783-6499, or visit them online at blackrhinoconcealment.com. Many of you own or manage growing companies, and you know that your entire business depends on your phones. If your phone service provider struggles to deliver your calls, it can mean lost revenue. That's often the case with an outdated phone system. The solution? Well, it's a company that we use here at AM560, Innovative Networks. They excel at providing innovative solutions to reinforce your company's phone infrastructure and enhance call flow. We truly appreciate how comprehensive, diligent, and cost-effective Innovative Networks was in providing solutions that scale as our business expands. Innovative Networks can even replace your outdated phone system at no cost and provide hands-on training to maximize your capabilities. You'll save money and be more focused on growing your business. Here at AM560, we're thrilled with Innovative Networks, so follow our lead and call Innovative Networks at 312-453-7777. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. Call 312-453-7777 or visit go4inet.com. That's go, the number 4, INET, phonehome.com.
Peter forgot to order supplies for the office, and the boss is not happy.
Peter, we're out of toilet paper.
I'm sorry, boss. I'll order supplies right now. They should be here by next week.
Next week?
Peter really needs to call Combined Sales. Combined Sales has the products and solutions your business can't live without. From paper to pens, packaging, janitorial and safety supplies, and food service, Combined Sales to the rescue. They're local and can get you the supplies needed to keep your business running smoothly, fast, and at a great price. Plus, you'll deal with real people, not just another faceless internet site. You'll have an outside rep, an inside rep, and a customer service rep. Right now, Combined Sales has a presidential offer for new customers. This is huge! Open a business account today, order $500 in supplies, and you'll earn 5% in Co-op reward dollars on all purchases for the next 3 months. Plus, receive a bonus $50 Co-op reward. Request an account set up today at CombinedSales.com. CombinedSales.com.
My name is David Hochberg, Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. Billy wanted to contact a realtor before purchasing a home in Arlington Heights. Bad move. Not getting pre-qualified by me before talking to a realtor is like skydiving without a parachute. I pre-qualified Billy to purchase a home and introduced him to Donna Sattler, my preferred Arlington Heights realtor. If you're purchasing a home, call me first. I'll pre-qualify you for free and introduce you to my experienced team of preferred realtors who will help you locate the perfect home. My team of real estate experts will always look out for your financial best interest. If you're buying a home, give me a call now at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. I've helped thousands of AM560 listeners, but I can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage License D4358, RMLA, NMLS 19186.
You've heard about sanctuary cities. How about sanctuary universities? That's right. That's 707. But now let's check the headlines with Mike Scott.
A deadly natural gas explosion just south of Peoria in the Illinois town of Canton. A head found in a Chicago lagoon has been identified, and a senator rules out a run for Illinois governor. The Cubs' Chris Bryant up for the NL MVP today. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. For months, Donald Trump derided him as Lion Ted, and things got ugly in the campaign. Now,
I'm looking forward to working very, very closely with President Trump.
Senator Ted Cruz not confirming or denying he's under consideration for a possible role in the administration. Today, the president-elect will meet with more possible cabinet picks, a famed ex-diplomat and a world leader. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave expected at Trump Tower in New York, South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, an early supporter of Marco Rubio. Also, former presidential candidate Ted Cruz spotted at Trump Tower, but he's being tight-lipped about working in the coming administration, telling Fox News.
We had a far-reaching conversation. And it was a good opportunity to talk about the election, about the challenges facing the country.
Also meeting with Mr. Trump today is the Prime Minister of Japan and former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger. Everyone who works in the Trump administration will have to sign a pledge they will not work as a registered lobbyist for 5 years after leaving government. Dave.
Rachel, Hillary Clinton admits it's been rough after the election at times.
All I wanted to do was just to curl up with a good book or our dogs and never leave the house again.
But she told a Children's Defense Fund event last night her Democratic supporters should never give up and America is worth it. Terror attacks thwarted in Kosovo, where police say they prevented simultaneous ISIS attacks, one of them on the Israeli national soccer team that played a World Cup qualifier in neighboring Albania, and that at the same time another target might have been in Kosovo. The Surgeon General wants us to rethink our views on drug and alcohol addiction, that it's a chronic illness, not a moral failing or a character flaw. Nearly 21 million Americans are afflicted. Only 1 in 10 receive treatment, but Dr. Vivek Murthy says we need more patients and fewer prisoners, that every dollar invested in viable treatments saves $7 in criminal justice costs. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Sunrise in Chicago, 49 degrees at 7:02. AM 560, The Answer. Good morning, I'm Mike Scott. One person is dead, 10 others seriously hurt following a natural gas explosion in downtown Canton, Illinois, just about 30 miles southwest of Peoria. It's done much damage to several structures in the area. The person killed was an Ameren, Illinois utility employee. A psychiatrist who examined a suburban Chicago man in an ISIS terror case wants a judge to impose a sentence that could mean the 21-year-old is released next year. The doctor says in a letter filed in Chicago federal court that Mohammed Hamza Khan now knows his ideas about the ISIS terror group were idealistic. Khan pleaded guilty to terror-related charges for trying to join the Islamic State in 2014. He faces a maximum 15-year prison term when sentenced on Friday. Mayor Emanuel says he's pleased that Chicago aldermen stood by his 2017 budget yesterday.
We're not done. We have more work ahead. We should take note of the progress, but use that as encouragement to do more work in fixing our fiscal position.
The mayor's $8.2 billion spending plan includes higher taxes on bags at stores and increased parking fees. Bond denied a man accused of killing a 2-year-old Rockford boy whose dismembered remains were found in a Chicago lagoon in 2015. Authorities have identified a severed head found in a McKinley Park lagoon in September. The remains of Kasola Mims were discovered in a bag by a park district worker on the city's southwest side. Her death continues to be under investigation. In Springfield, Illinois, lawmakers are making an effort to override Governor Rauner's veto of a voter registration bill. The Senate voted yesterday to override the governor's veto of that measure that would automatically register eligible voters in the state when they receive or renew a driver's license. U.S. Senator Dick Durbin ruling out a run for Illinois governor in 2018. Instead, he says he'll keep his job as Senate Minority Whip on the leadership team of new Senate Minority Leader Charles Schumer. College football, Northern Illinois. Our Huskies a winner over Eastern Michigan in overtime in the MAC, 31-24. The news, a service of the 89-cent pancake deal at Burger King. How is this even possible? Right now at Burger King, you can get 3 pancakes for 89 cents. 3 hot, fluffy, golden pancakes for just 89 cents. It's unbelievable, but true. 3 pancakes, 89 cents, only at Burger King. Limited time only. Price and participation vary. 7:04, time to check the climate of your business with aircomfort.com. Providing the right climate for business since 1935. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
As a new president prepares to take office, questions swirl about the future of this administration.
Republicans on Capitol Hill have been watching this very closely because...
What message does Trump send to the young girl?
And the future of the nation.
We're confident about the transition, and we're very, very excited about getting to work for the American people.
Get answers to those questions here.
We should be a little careful about casually throwing around the term anti-Semitic.
We spend all of our time defending ourselves.
This is AM 560. The Answer.
Wildfires, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, a crashing economy. Are you ready? At best, your local stores have a 3-day supply of food. Will your family have to fight over what's left? Be wise and be ready with 25-year shelf life Wise Food Storage. Try it free. Order a no-obligation free sample meal, and for a limited time, get a 10% discount and free shipping on all orders. Call for your free sample now. 800-596-0026. 800-596-0026.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that you're probably driving right now. Sitting comfortably behind the wheel with a tasty caffeinated beverage in your cup holder. Well, if you were driving with Uber, you could be earning money right now too. That's because Uber is the ultimate side hustle. Extra cash whenever you want. Earning you can turn on and off, just like your car. This isn't just another job, it's a totally flexible way to earn. So go ahead, get your side hustle on. Visit uber.com/drive now. That's uber.com/drive now.
7:06. Let's get an update on the roads. Here's AM 560's Jim Talamonte. We will reconnect with Jim in just a moment. Let's get an update on your morning weather forecast, your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. The latest from our meteorologist, Ashley Benoit.
Breezy today, nice with sunshine, a high of 72. Clear skies early tonight, then increasing clouds overnight, breezy and mild, low 58. Mostly cloudy and windy tomorrow, showers during the midday, high 66 degrees. I'm Ashley Benoit on AM 560, The Answer.
And now the latest on the roads. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the inbound Edens, the delay started Gulf Road, 33 minutes Lake Hook to the junction, outbound 23. The Kennedy, 45 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, a little quicker in the express. Outbound 40. The Eisenhower is 1 hour, Thorndale to the post office. And outbound 41 minutes, the Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 42 minutes. The Ryan, 28 minutes, 95th to downtown, northbound Tri-State, it's heavy. The Calsag Bridge to the 83rd Street toll. LaGrange Road to the Hinsdale Oasis, and Roosevelt to Grand Avenue. Veterans Memorial delays, 75th most of the way to Roosevelt. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
48 at O'Hare, 52 along the lakefront. Next news, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
I ask you to stay engaged. Stay engaged on every level.
What I said to them is this isn't that complicated. They don't align themselves with the Democratic Party because they don't think Democrats like them.
Right now, I think he's an illegitimate president of the United States.
Why is he illegitimate? He just won an election.
He would have to legitimize. He didn't win the general election, so he's got too many people against him.
The president-elect used his campaign for our country's highest office to promote policy ideas that would not only pollute the planet, but expose millions of Americans and billions worldwide to loss of life, livelihood, and property.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I should make mention, I see that team coverage on our local network affiliates of Archbishop Supich's elevation to cardinal in Rome. And noted theologians, Tiny Dancer and Ed Burke, Mike Quigley, Danny Solis, Michelle Harris, Margaret Lorino. These are all City of Chicago aldermen. That doesn't really matter. Their names are just it's the same person. As well as Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson and Fire Commissioner Jose Santiago. Oh, and Desiree Rogers, former Obama Social Secretary, now heads up Choose Chicago. Another one of these.
These are all people on the trip?
Trade organization. Yeah, they're all going to Rome.
I think Rauner's there too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going on his own dime. Madigan not going. Cullerton going, but on his own dime, so he reports. Comptroller-elect Susana Mendoza using campaign funds to make the trip. Great. It's good. So soon-to-be Cardinal Supich can get together with all these politicians and agree that they all despise Catholicism. So it should be a fascinating get-together.
Including Catholics on the very trip.
Yeah, they should get together and talk about how they don't have any respect for traditional marriage and they're pro-abort and not want to do much to provide choice for Chicago families in terms of the K through 12 education of their kids and focus on things that are really important because they're all noted labor economists and climatologists. So the $15 minimum wage and man-made global climate change and all sorts of things. Quigley, he's a congressman.
He is.
I'm not kidding. He is.
He is. He represents the Northwest Side. He was a former Cook County board member.
Yeah, he looks like one of the little kids from Spanky's gang, the Little Rascals. That haircut, that bowl haircut he's got. It's just like, you want to give him a noogie every time you see him, don't you?
Maybe you're just jealous. He's got more hair than you.
I'm not. He's a drip. He's a child. And if you don't think so, listen to this speech. We're going to go through embarrassing comments on this little segment here. Here's an offering from Mike Quigley, who represents the 5th Congressional District, following in the illustrious footsteps of a Tiny Dancer, of a Rod Blagojevich, of a Dan Rostenkowski.
As we stand here today, representatives from 195 nations, including our own, are meeting in Morocco to discuss how the world will move forward to implement the historic Paris Agreement forged last December. Yet, in that same one-year span, The president-elect used his campaign for our country's highest office to promote policy ideas that would not only pollute the planet, but expose millions of Americans and billions worldwide to loss of life, livelihood, and property.
Did you hear what he just said Donald Trump is promoting policies that will kill billions of people.
He needs to buy that emergency food kit that you advertise for on the station.
Does he needs a nap? Because he's a little cranky. He doesn't know what he's saying. Billions of people. If we don't sign on to the Paris Accords, it's nonsense. Billions of people.
Like I said, get him some food and water and to hunker down in his basement so that his kids aren't fighting over it. That's just what he needs.
It's just breathtaking.
Doomsday is coming.
If you live in the 5th Congressional District and you vote for Mike Quigley, be embarrassed. You should be ashamed of yourselves. How stupid he thinks you are, and you live down to that characterization. I mean, honestly, you take somebody like this seriously?
He's generally not so alarmist. I'm a little surprised at
billions of people.
Surprised that this was his speech.
Remember how Stalin murdered 20 million people? Trump is going to be in the billions.
Maybe he,
I mean,
maybe it was a misprint.
Yeah, a misprint
on his paper that he was reading.
Okay, Carl Sagan of mass murderers. Here's the Keith Ellison, interviewed by Vice News for their HBO program. Keith Ellison, he's the Muslim congressman from Minnesota who is apparently the inside track to be the new DNC chair. Here's what Ellison said about Trump, the president-elect, not Trump supporters, but President Trump.
It should never have been this close. I mean, Donald Trump is the single worst person ever to win the nomination of a major party. When I say bad person, I mean every sexist thing he said, every racist thing he said is just deplorable, deplorable, quite frankly. Now, I don't say that about his supporters, but I say it about the way he campaigned in this election.
Yeah, just for clarification, Keith Ellison, he is saying it about Trump supporters. I mean, just so you know, he knows that it's not politically advantageous because he saw what happened to Hillary Clinton to call all of Trump supporters deplorables. But make no mistake about it, he thinks you are. So just understand that.
He's a perfect role then for the future DNC chairman.
No question.
Perfect.
He can pick up right where Debbie Wasserman, Todd Christensen Schultz left off, and then Donna Brazile.
Rahm Emanuel at some point.
I assume Donna Brazile go back to CNN to be the inside man for the DNC over at CNN like she was. And then you have Vicente Fox, former Mexican president. I mean, he's got a lot to say. Boy, if I was Nieto, I would tell Vicente Fox to, shut the front door for a while. You're not helping me.
Right.
And here's what Vicente Fox said about Trump's elections. It's illegitimate, noted American political system expert. He was educated in America, but you know what that means.
Right now, I think he's an illegitimate president of the United States.
Why is he illegitimate? He just won an election.
He would have to legitimize. He didn't win the general election, so he's got too many people against him, and they have shown out on the streets. But anyway, in Mexico, we can be rude also. As I said, we're strong now. We're going to defend our people wherever they are, in Mexico or outside of Mexico in the United States. We are not going to let this guy to offend them anymore, to offend their dignity, and more so to deny the enormous contribution they make to U.S. economy.
Yeah. So Vicente Fox, the follow-up question, President Fox, who we've had on the show. We have to get him on again.
Former.
Yeah.
2006.
Well, I understand.
Okay.
But, I mean, you still refer to him as president.
Well, sure. I'm just my question is, what kind of a bully pulpit does he really have?
Well,
I don't know.
American media loves him because he says things like that. But the follow-up would be, so you're going to protect your people, both in Mexico and elsewhere, from being offended, like their kids on a college campus. Okay. So you're going to scramble the Mexican army? You're going to invade America to protect the Mexicans or Mexican Americans here? I mean, How exactly does that play itself out? President Fox, I want to understand. And by the way, why do you want to protect violent criminals from being called violent criminals? Because that's really what we're talking about, isn't it? And Vicente Fox, how do you explain Trump's percentage of the Latino vote as compared to people that you would otherwise not find objectionable, at least on this score, like a Mitt Romney or John McCain? Boy, a lot of complicated questions for the men and women of the left, and they don't have very good answers. They just have temper tantrums. Charles Krauthammer on the issue of sanctuary cities, since we've raised the specter of Vicente Fox, and since mayors like Tiny Dancer are girding their little loins for a fight over federal funding in relation to their commitment to sanctuary city status, Charles Krauthammer had this to say.
But sanctuary cities were a scandal before Trump. There's a defiance of federal authority. Federal authority is legitimate. The people who did this in the past were the racists in the South who defied federal authority on civil rights. So now it's in the name of something that appears to be humanitarian. But it should be. It's something that should not be allowed. The Democrats have tolerated it. And I think Trump would be within his rights to withhold the funds, and he should. And the Democrats are making a big bet, and a mistaken one, if they decide they're going to defy the federal government and what seems to be common sense, control your borders.
What about that?
You know, I was doing a little research and I ran across a story about Rahm Emanuel. I think this was on NBC5 here, but there were a bunch of documents unearthed a few years ago that found different ways that Rahm Emanuel had advised Bill Clinton on how to deal with undocumented immigrants. And what Rahm's advice to Clinton then was to add more immigration hearings across states, Illinois included, so that Clinton could, quote, claim and achieve record deportations of criminal aliens. Mm-hmm. He went on to advise Clinton to be tough on illegal aliens and deportation. And now he is holding press conferences vowing that Chicago will remain a sanctuary city.
Well, and it fast forward to his time as chief of staff for President Obama, and it's been widely reported and confirmed from a lot of different individuals in the know that Tiny Dancer was the one digging in as chief of staff in Obama's first 2 years to say, don't do path to citizenship. Do not do that. Do not do the comprehensive immigration reform that you promised you would do. And you have a lot of the immigrant rights groups who know that to be true and who have criticized Obama for listening to Rahm and for his failure on that issue. Even, the most radical elements on this topic, like El Gaito, Luis Gutierrez.
Well, you also had, and this always seems to get lost, that, Obama has deported more people than any other U.S. president. And I think it was a Pew study recently that showed the vast majority of those deportations were over nonviolent first-time drug offenses.
Now, you're right about that, the last part, but in terms of the aggregate numbers, there's some dispute about that because of the way they count. So there's been some stories that suggest, turning away people at the border, they're counting as a deportation to jump their numbers. But your point about the nonviolent is correct, and it also speaks to the abject failure to deport the violent criminals that don't belong in this country, that are non-citizens, that everybody agrees should be deported, and that Donald Trump has prioritized in terms of immigration enforcement, which I think makes a lot of sense. It's going to be very interesting to see what Trump does on sanctuary cities, if he digs in with these big city mayors. I think he should. I think he needs to reestablish the rule of law. I think he needs to hold local officials accountable. And, if he doesn't, I think it would be a real failure. And it'll be a failure to those who have been treated unfairly and stigmatized by the likes of a Tiny Dancer. And it was very interesting. Jim Webb was on Fox the other night talking about this. Former United States Senator Jim Webb from Virginia, who ran briefly for the Democrat nomination for president and found there are no Scoop Jackson Democrats left in the 21st century Democrat Party, so didn't do very well. But he talked about Trump's victory and white, lower to middle income families who buoyed Trump's electoral fortunes, and said this about them vis-a-vis Democrats.
What I said to them is, this isn't that complicated. They don't align themselves with the Democratic Party because they don't think Democrats like them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a real challenge for Democrats, very much like minority populations, Latinos, African Americans is a real challenge for Republicans, because if I don't believe that you like me, then it's difficult to have that conversation about what you're going to do for me or how you're going to help me. I don't trust you because I don't think you like me. The left has been very good at convincing large swaths of blacks and Latinos that conservatives don't like them. It's not true, but they've done a good job with their propagandizing. And now the Democrats have that same very problem with lower to middle income white families. If Trump doesn't put some stakes in the ground on gut issues like Sanctuary City, then he has the potential to start losing that coalition that put him in the White House.
Correct me, though, if I'm wrong, but it was the Justice Department in May under Loretta Lynch that released this new dictate to cities that if they were not abiding the law, that they risked losing their funding. So this is not, he would be continuing a policy that if in May, the Justice Department signaled it was going to do.
Yeah, but that's not with respect to Sanctuary City. There's always carve-outs. I mean, the Justice Department, to your point, and this administration has threatened cities, states and cities, with loss of federal funding on a range of issues, but it's all of their basket of issues. It's not things that they support, like Sanctuary City. That's the politicization of justice under President Obama. That's one of, frankly, Trump's main chores, is to reestablish the rule of law at the federal level and with respect to federal, state, and local relations.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Your weather forecast today, sunshiny, breezy. The temperature will reach a near record of 74 degrees that was set in 1975. So take advantage before the weekend because it's going to get colder. And let's get a check of the roads with Jim Talamonte.
Kristen, on Metra's Union Pacific Northwest line, trains are stopped in both directions near Mount Prospect after an incident involving a train and a pedestrian. And this has inbound Prospect eastbound Northwest Highway blocked at Elmhurst Road. Edens is 31 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 30. Kennedy, now 52 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 46. The Ike, an hour and 3 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. 45 minutes from Manheim, outbound 44 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 41 minutes. Ryan is 33 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State northbound, very slow from the Cal-Sag Bridge to the Stevenson with a crash on the left shoulder. Then Roosevelt to Grand Avenue. Southbound, there's a Gapers delay, 47th to Hinsdale Oasis. I'm Jim Talamonte in the AM 560 Traffic Center.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Grow My Retirement with Bill Geiger of Geiger Wealth. Tune in Saturday afternoons at 2 for Grow My Retirement with Bill Geiger of Geiger Wealth.
You've always wanted to be your own boss and in complete control of your future. No more glass ceiling, no more being overlooked for that promotion you deserved. There's never been a better time to take that first step. Your first step begins at franchisebuyersguide.info. Put your talent, your skills, your drive, and your determination to work for you and only you. Franchise opportunities include brick and mortar, home-based, product-based, service-based, B2B, and B2C. Unleash the entrepreneur in you. Learn more at franchisebuyersguide.info. That's franchisebuyersguide.info.
As 2016 starts to wind down, it's time to take a good hard look at how your building and offices have been maintained. At Image One, we're aware that everyone has a cleaning service and many are happy. But you should have a backup plan. So when something happens, and it will happen, you're ready. Let Image One be your backup plan. Image One is Chicagoland's choice for custom office and building cleaning needs. Connect with Image One online at imageoneusa.com or call 800-223-1985.
Are you a business owner or manager who wants your facility to be more locked down? Do you occasionally need to limit access to your building from certain employees at certain times? Turn to Access Master, a proud supporter of AM 560 and Feed the Children. Access Master makes managing access to your facility easy. Whether you need to control access at a single entrance or to all your doors, Access Master will work with you to develop a plan customized for your business security needs. Everyone in your organization can have their own unique access profile to allow them access at certain times of days at various entrances. You can even monitor when employees are on site and receive an email or text notification in real time if employees need to enter your facility after hours. Business owners and managers, make an appointment to review options for controlling access to your facility. Contact Access Master today to help control access to your facilities. Call 800-321-2850. That's 800-321-2850. Please mention this ad.
No matter what type of business you're in, having a strong business banking partnership can help your bottom line. I'm Jeff Boundy, president of Cornerstone National Bank and Trust Company. We strongly believe that trust, service, and relationship are the cornerstone of a successful business banking partnership. Customers like Robert Weissite of Robert C. Weissite Company agree.
I appreciate the depth of experience my Cornerstone banker brings to the table. Last June, we located a building we wanted to buy for expansion. My Cornerstone banker walked me through everything I could expect to face in advance, from the letter of intent all the way through the day of closing. It went very smooth and predictably and with low stress. He had been through this type of transaction many times, and his years of experience helped me make my purchasing experience predictable, efficient, and successful.
Thanks, Bob. Please visit cornerstonenb.com, or I invite you to give me a call at 847-654-3000 to explore a business banking partnership.
Equal Opportunity Lender, member FDIC.
A couple years ago, I had a severe accident which disabled my right hand and caused chronic pain and complete suffering. It took many years before really we figured out exactly what it was or how to treat it. My whole goal was I did not want to be on high levels of pain medicine. After some time, I went to see Dr. Kenneth Candido to try to figure out the source of the pain and a solution and how to solve it. He listens. I'm going to cry because it's so real. I've been through so much, and he wants to help his patients, and he's there for me whenever I need him.
This is Ken Candido of Chicago Anesthesia Pain Specialists. I have a simple message for you. If you or someone you love or someone you know has chronic pain, contact us. Treating chronic pain issues is what we do. We can make it better. Get an appointment and let's talk. MyPainChicago.com, MyPainChicago.com. All the info is available at MyPainChicago.com. Let's make you pain-free.
Get out of town with Apple Vacations. From adults-only hotels to family-friendly resorts, the vacation choices are endless with Iberostar Hotels and Resorts. Book your getaway during the Apple Vacations Super Sale and save on holiday and January travel. For an unforgettable vacation, go with Iberostar Hotels and Resorts. 4 nights in Riviera Maya at Iberostar Paraíso del Mar start from only $7.99. Or make it 3 nights at the adults-only Iberostar Grand Hotel Paraíso starting from just $11.99. Both trips include round-trip nonstop air, resort transfers, all meals, drinks, and taxes. Call Carey Travel Express at 847-639-3300. That's Carey Travel Express, 847-639-3300. Or visit CareyTravelExpress.com. Hurry, best dates and hotels are going fast. Prices per person based on double occupancy for select departures starting January 8th, including air on Frontier from O'Hare, and taxes and fees, including September 11th security fee. See AppleVacations.com for baggage charges. Prices subject to availability and change restrictions apply.
AM 560, The Answer.
Text from Ann B. Davis says bowling ball is Amy Jacobs, tweet I should say, is Amy Jacobs being held at Cook County Black Site basement beneath third base at Wrigley. Time for Dan Proft to go full Liam Neeson. No, she's not. She's just a little bit under the weather, and if Chris Bryant doesn't win the MVP, then you probably won't see her for another week or so. But she'll be back. And in for her today, Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And coming up for both of us, a little chat with Trump economic advisor Steve Moore. That's at 7:37. But now let's check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Dan and Kristen, good morning. 52 degrees. 1 person dead, 10 others seriously hurt following a natural gas explosion. It happened southwest of Peoria in the town of Canton overnight. Donald Trump meets with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe today. Texas Senator Ted Cruz met with President-elect Donald Trump yesterday.
Had the chance to meet with the president-elect, with the vice president-elect, with senior members of the transition team. And I think we had very good and productive conversations about how we can work together to really deliver on the promises made to the American people.
Cruz called reports of Trump's transition into the White House being in turmoil complete silliness, his words. Hillary Clinton says she's disappointed that she did not win the presidential election, but last night, in her first speech since the election, urged supporters to continue to fight for shared values.
And I hoped to have had the opportunity to build on the progress that President Obama has made, because I know that we are stronger together when we are lifting each other up.
Clinton was at an event hosted by the Children's Defense Fund. A delegation of civic, faith, elected, and business leaders heading to Rome today to witness Chicago Archbishop Blaise Cupich be elevated to the rank of cardinal. Two are in serious condition following a crash involving a semi in Skokie. Fire officials say the accident happened early this morning when an SUV slammed into the side of that truck near Gulf and Keeler. Cubs plan on reaching out to Steve Bartman in 2017. The team owner telling USA Today that they'll figure out something that provides closure for everyone. If you haven't closed up since Game 6 of the 2003 National League Championship Series, this may help. Chicago sports, Northern Illinois top Eastern Michigan in MAC football 31-24 in OT. College basketball winners, UIC, Illinois State, and the Huskies of Northern Illinois. The news, a service of the 89-cent pancake deal at Burger King. How is this even possible? Right now at Burger King, you can get 3 pancakes for 89 cents. 3 hot, fluffy, golden pancakes for just 89 cents. Unbelievable, but true. 3 pancakes, 89 cents. Burger King, limited time only. Price and participation vary. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
I'd say the same thing to a billionaire that I would say to somebody making $30,000 a year.
The Joe Walsh Show.
The money you make, the money you earn, the money you invest, that's your money, damn it. And I think it's your duty, it's your right to do whatever you can do legally to limit what you give government, because we have a government that's too damn big.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Get ShopVac's most powerful, feature-packed 14-gallon wet dry vac now at an amazing low price of only $149 for a limited time only, available only at Lowe's.
Hey, you've heard me rave for months now about how great MyPillow is. I've been using it for 10 months. And a lot of my listeners have bought a MyPillow and are getting a great night's sleep. Way to go. If you haven't purchased a MyPillow yet, get off your rear end and do it. This pillow is amazing. Again, I've been using it for over 10 months. The pillow never goes flat. It custom fits to my head and my neck no matter how I toss and turn. I'm getting a great night's sleep every single night. Here is the offer. If you use the promo code Joe, right now you will get 2 pillows for the price of 1, plus 25% off of any additional purchase. If you already own a MyPillow, consider purchasing a pillow topper or one of the astounding 9 new products, all at a 25% discount. Visit MyPillow.com or call 1-800-299-8288 and get 2 pillows for the price of 1 and 25% off anything else by using the promo code Joe. Do it now, 1-800-299-8288 or online at MyPillow.com.
Have you racked up more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by, making minimum payments? You should know the credit card companies are tricking you into thinking there's no way out. Credit card companies would rather you didn't know that there are ways you can become debt-free and you don't have to pay the entire amount you owe. There are debt relief programs that help people like you escape overwhelming credit card debt. National Debt Relief has helped tens of thousands of people just like you reduce more than $500 million of debt. National Debt Relief has helped so many people they're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. You don't have to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation Foundation Loan. You have the right to settle your debt for a mere fraction of what you owe. Reduce a large portion of your debt now. Call National Debt Relief at 800-518-4020. 800-518-4020. 800-518-4020.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
Oh, I had my joints all ached. My sciatic nerve was really bad. Like 10 hours, my eyes were so tired and heavy and almost burning. And then when I woke up in the morning, there was this nagging pain. I mean, it hurt to open them. And just in a week, like, I don't have the nagging pain anymore. My joints stopped hurting, and I'm in wood season. I'm lugging wood right now, and I'm not hurting. So that's, like, amazing for me. I'm usually really suffering. It's pretty effective. And so now, like I said, my husband and I are both taking it, and he even said his joints aren't aching as much, and he's feeling better.
Good health is only a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Don't miss your opportunity to get a free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
7:38. Quick check of the roads. AM 560's Jim Talamonte.
Metro trains are stopped on the Union Pacific Northwest line after a pedestrian incident in Mount Prospect. The Edens is 32 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose outbound 30. The Kennedy 59 minutes. O'Hare to downtown outbound 48. The Ike an hour. Thorndale to the post office. Stevenson an hour. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Northbound Tri-State bottled up from the Calsag Bridge to the Hinsdale Oasis and Roosevelt to Grand Avenue. Adams still away from Beverly to 53. Traffic Service of Account Temps. The 2017 Salary Guide is here. Check it out for instant access. The up-to-date salary forecast for more than 400 accounting and finance jobs where you live. Visit them at AccountTemps.com. Account Temps are Robert Half Company. That's traffic on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Sunny, breezy, temperatures near the record high of 74 set back in 1975. Currently 49 at O'Hare, 52 along the lakefront. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie, Chicago Tribune editorial board, and that music means it's time to talk to the next Treasury Secretary. He is Heritage Foundation Chief Economist Steve Moore. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, guys. Good morning.
So here's my question. We've got political and policy counselors across the range of issues. Trump seems to be taking a triumvirate approach, much like Reagan did with Deaver, Meese, and Baker. He's got Conway, Priebus, and Bannon. Will he take a triumvirate approach when it comes to economic policy with Moore, Kudlow, and Laffer?
Well, that would be a dream come true, I think, for me and a lot of conservatives. I don't know how it's going to all shake out. It's a lot of elbowing and jabbing, and it's interesting. Dan, you know, a lot of people, as you know, gave me, I think maybe even you, were giving me a lot of grief when I signed on with Donald Trump,
yes.
4 or 5 months ago, and now all these people are calling me, you know, Steve, buddy, old pal, you know, never comfort. You give me a job at the Commerce Department. It's that way. I mean, there's too many conservatives who want to work for the government. We're not going to have more government employees. We're going to have less. So
right.
You'll get a kick out of this. I was at a transition meeting on Monday with all the kind of major people running each of the agencies and stacking them. And one of the people they detailed over his career civil service said, "Will there be reductions in force?" And the guy in charge said, "There's not going to be reductions in force. There's going to be reductions with force." So we want to downsize the government, and it's going to be look. Let me say this to you guys. I really believe, just having been around the transition people, knowing the people who are trying to find the right people to find the right positions. From a personnel point of view, this will be a more conservative administration than Ronald Reagan's.
Really? Wow, that's a statement.
Hey, look, I mean, the people are here are the people who are in charge of the transition. Ed Fulner, the former president of the Heritage Foundation, and Ed Meese, who was Ronald Reagan's counselor, and the guys who are doing the agencies. I mean, these are hardcore conservatives who really are on a mission. And I love the fact. I mean, the New York Times says bedlam and chaos in the transition office. No. What happened is the kind of lobbyists that Chris Christie had wanted to put in are gone. We're going to drain the swamp, and if we're going to drain the swamp, we can't have people who are in the swamp, telling us how to do it.
Well,
so, we're off to a good start.
That's actually very good news. And the other thing you have to guard against is the political operative types. And I've seen some names. I won't get into the names, but I've seen some names that are senior advisors to the transition team. Blah blah blah. You have to keep those. Kids that are too cool for school and are just looking to line their pockets and have access away from personnel decisions, too.
I mean, I think this president's serious about a lifetime ban. If you want to go into government, no more revolving door, where you go into government, then go lobbying, and then going back into government. A lifetime ban on lobbying from Congress or from the executive branch. And you want to talk about getting rid of the swamp. Cleaning it up, that would be a huge thing to do. And I think these guys are serious. I mean, they want to downsize government in a very big way. I'll give you just one example. I mean, you guys are going to love this. So do you know that, I'm sure you both heard of the Consumer Finance Protection Board, the thing that Elizabeth Warren created. Remember that?
Yeah.
So I was in one of the transition meetings, and we were talking about, of course, we want to get rid of that. And I said to the guy who's in charge, I said, how many employees do they have? Because remember, Obama only created that a few years ago. Oh, he said, I think we estimate about 14. Oh, I said, they got 14 employees. He said, no, not 14, 1,400.
1,400.
They have 1,400 people, and they're building a $300 million new building. Stop the construction. We don't need it.
So how soon, Stephen Moore, after reading all of your pieces over the years on corporate welfare, how can we count on you to get rid of the corporate welfare queens within the first 100 days of the administration? Please.
I don't think we could do it in 100 days, but I think it is a very, very high priority. You and I have talked about this many times. The Tribune's been excellent on this, and I think it's fantastic that Trump has made corporate welfare a priority. For example, I mean, do we really need a Department of Energy? Do we need a Department of Commerce? I'll tell you another thing that Donald Trump is very serious about. The Department of Education, which was created by Jimmy Carter, spends about $50 to $60 billion a year, and there's no evidence that it's ever actually helped schools. In fact, there's some evidence that it actually hurts schools. Trump wants to take $20 billion of that and just give it to parents whose kids have to go to schools that have been declared failing schools. So, a lot of those are in Chicago, Washington, D.C., Cleveland, Newark, and give that money straight to the parents and go around the education blob. That would be a fantastic thing to do, and we might even get some value for that money.
That would be a fantastic thing to do, just block grant that budget to as you say, families that are discriminated against based on their household income and address, and give them scholarships to have the same choices that Tiny Dancer has for his kids. No, that would be tremendous. That alone, just as a leading indicator of reestablishing federalism in this country, would be so welcome. Wow.
But I've read that.
And I want to give Kristen a little brief here, if I may.
Yes, please.
Please do.
I think you guys at the Tribune punted. I don't respect the decision you made editorially. I understand you chose Gary Johnson. You endorsed Johnson. This was a binary choice. Either Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump was going to be the next president. And I just don't get that, frankly. I don't understand how you could not endorse Donald Trump, who is going to be a strong conservative. Like, there are a lot of things about Donald Trump I don't like. But between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, how in the world could you not endorse Donald Trump?
Well, so pivoting back to the corporate tax rate. No, I'm kidding. Those decisions, I mean, Stephen, those decisions are not, it was not unanimous. We have a very diverse board, and those decisions come from on high when we are making a presidential endorsement.
I worked for an editorial board too. I'm just giving you.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Steve, you have.
I do know. I mean, a lot of people commented that. I had a lot of friends from Chicago who called me and said the Tribune did not endorse Trump, and I'm like, wow. I just think that there's a clear choice.
Well, nobody endorsed
Trump. I
like
Gary Johnson. I'm a libertarian, as you know, Kristen, but he didn't. Where did he end up getting? By the way, 3 or 4% or something like that.
Yeah, but Steve, you haven't been in Chicago enough. You're vastly understating the virulent strain of Stockholm syndrome that afflicts people in this city and state.
Well, I've lived there. I know exactly what you mean. And look, a lot of people in this town suffer. But even the Republicans, like, oh, we can't do that. We can't do this. Yes, we can. Why can't we? We can get rid of these departments. We can downsize these agencies. I mean, I got another statistic. I mean, I'm just finding out the most amazing things. The Medicare department, their own auditors say that we have a $50 billion a year fraud. $50 billion of fraudulent payments. Now, it turns out that's a 12.5% fraud rate. Now, do you know what? You guys want to take a guess what the fraud rate is at Visa and American Express?
Under 1%.
0.7.
Under 1%, yeah, about a half a percentage point. So we have a fraud rate by the way, the same thing with food stamps and so on. The fraud rate is 20 times higher than it is in the private sector, and nobody does a damn thing about it. It's just stealing money from the taxpayers. They say there's thousands and thousands of people who are over the age of 105 that are getting Social Security benefits. How many people do you think are alive in this country that are over the age of 105?
So what can Republican voters expect realistically? What can we hold this administration accountable for in 2 years when you have all three branches? Give me the measurement. Give me three things that better happen.
I like that, and I want you guys to hold us accountable. By the way, I really honestly don't know if I'm going to go into the administration or not, but if I'm on the outside, I'll be poked. Guys, too. We got to do our tax cut. We've got to repeal all the Obamacare executive orders. And by the way, with that, you'll know within a week or so if we do that. You've got to see if we're going to be serious about, expanding American energy. Right, the oil and gas, and let's start drilling on federal lands and raise money and increase output. And let's see what we do for cities. I mean, I think this is the first president ever in modern times who actually wants to rebuild American cities, the inner cities. As Donald Trump said, the liberals have done nothing for the inner cities except made them dependent on welfare. We are very serious about bringing enterprise and jobs and safety back to our cities, and no city should respect that more than Chicago.
Now, what about Congress? You mentioned
some. We have to talk about that.
Well, because we've got some weak-kneed Republicans there. The idea that there was a move that was properly derailed, but a move to reestablish earmarks. What the hell are they thinking?
Can you believe it? Can you believe how stupid these people are?
No, I can, but I don't like it.
You don't understand it. Remember what show was that? Get Smart, the Code of Silence. Remember?
Yes, the Cone of Silence. Cone of Silence, yes.
There's like a cone of silence over Washington, D.C. They just, even after a week ago Tuesday, they still don't get it. These people, they're unbelievably stupid.
Well, thanks for joining us from your shoe phone, Steve Moore. We appreciate it. Chief economist at the Heritage Foundation, and we'll see where Steve Moore ends up in the Trump administration or on the outside, continuing to advocate for free markets.
I don't want to give up my spot on your radio show.
No,
so if they make me do that, I'm not taking a job. I guarantee that.
You gotta have
it's
deal
high
breakers.
paying. It's high paying, Stephen.
Gotta have deal breakers. Thanks, Steve, and he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Your forecast today, sunshine, breezy, temperature near 74 degrees, which was a record set in 1975. Yay! Enjoy the warm weather. It's going to get cold over the weekend. Let's get a check of the roads with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Kristen. And trains remain stopped on Metra's Union Pacific Northwest line due to a pedestrian incident near Mount Prospect. They're adding an extra train from Des Plaines into downtown, and the CTA is honoring Metra tickets on Blue Line stations from Rosemont into downtown. Delays on Lakeshore Drive are heavy this morning, southbound Montrose to North Avenue, and especially northbound 31st to Jackson. Eden's 28 minutes, Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 31. The Kennedy, an hour from O'Hare to downtown, outbound it's 48 minutes. The Eisenhower's an hour, Thorndale to the post office, outbound 44 minutes. Stevenson, an hour and 3 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 40 minutes. Ryan, 37 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound, slow Washington to 176. Northbound most of the way from the Cal-Sag Bridge to 31st and Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue curve. Adams Stoley jam, 25 to 53. That's traffic on AM 560, The Answer.
Gather your friends, your family, and coworkers to team up for a holiday party that will be remembered for years to come. Make 10 Pin Bowling Lounge your destination for your office party or get-together. 10 Pin isn't just bowling. It's a cool, comfortable, upscale lounge with great music, delicious food, and a tempting drink list. You have to see the 128-foot video wall featuring your favorite sports teams or your own presentation. And you'll be on your game on one of the 24 state-of-the-art bowling lanes. If the pins don't go down as easily as the martinis, burgers, and conversation, don't worry. It's only part of the fun. Let their expert team of party planners customize your event, big or small. There's room for everyone, so enjoy your next happy hour, corporate outing, or party at 10 Pin Bowling Lounge downtown on State Street right next to the House of Blues. Come for the bowling or just come for everything else. Get started today at 10pinchicago.com. That's 10pinchicago.com.
Hi, Barry Sterner, owner of your premier home mortgage lender, Townstone Financial. Interest rates are extremely low, so there's no better time than the present to do a no closing cost refinance with Townstone Financial if your interest rate is above 4%. Remember, Townstone has completed thousands of no closing cost refinances since 2002. And don't worry, there are no hidden costs. I guarantee it, and I own the company. We can also customize the payback period so you don't have to start over at 30 years or 15. Last week, I began a no closing cost refinance where the borrower was going to save over $100 per month. That's $1,200 a year. So give me a call now at 312-896-2111 and let me review your current situation. Lastly, do you have mortgage insurance or an FHA loan? Let us see if we can remove the insurance payments, which will dramatically reduce your monthly payments. The call is free and so is my time, so dial 312-896-2111. That's 312-896-2111 or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com. Townstone Financial is an Illinois mortgage licensee 6629 and MLS 136639 equal housing lender.
Hello, human. It's me, your dog. I know your car battery died, so you couldn't make it home on time, but I just wanted to let you know that everything is A-okay. I made you a couple presents. You know, the kind you pick up in a plastic bag? Yeah, I put one right on your pillow. I figured that'd be the best place for you to find it. Also, the couch needed a little shredding, so I took care of that, too. Also, I ate the mail. Who's a good boy? I am.
Make sure you'll be there. Get a car battery test today. Find a location at interstatebatteries.com. Interstate Batteries. Outrageously dependable.
When I listen to Audible, I'm not cooking dinner for one. I'm on horseback, galloping across the Scottish moors towards my one true love. There, through the mist, I see my beloved, kilt flapping in the breeze. The fibers of his shirt struggle against his bulging muscles as he takes me from my horse and... my frittata!
Go to audible.com/act now, and your first download is free. Audible. Stories that surround you.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, Kristen McQuarrie in for Amy. Kristen, I'm going to put you on the spot. You follow these things closely so nobody else has to. State politics. Since it's unlikely anything substantial is going to happen in the next 2 years, just like nothing has happened in the first 2 years because of the intransigence of Chicago Democrat leaders in the General Assembly, who do the Democrats put up for governor against Bruce Rauner after Durbin ruled himself out yesterday?
I still have not ruled out Lisa Madigan. Obviously, she could only be successful if Mike Madigan retired, and I do not put that past him. She almost ran, every cycle for the last 3 or 4 cycles. I mean, I'm hearing Pritzker might throw his hat in the ring. Okay, all right. That's not someone the Democrats would put up, but he might put himself.
It's like Chris Kennedy.
Up. Chris Kennedy.
Here's the correct answer.
Okay.
You ready for the correct answer?
I knew you were going to set me straight.
It's going to be a 40-something woman, professional, with access to money and a thin record. So there's not a lot to pour over.
Susana
and pick apart.
Mendoza.
No.
No.
It'll be Heather Steens.
Okay.
Staines.
Mm-hmm.
The state senator from the city. Mm-hmm. Access to money, kind of gooey, goo-goo type.
I like her.
Yeah.
She's policy driven.
Yeah, like Advance Illinois. They're real school reformers.
Well, that's not her. That's not her.
So that's one. Or Sherry Bustos, the congresswoman from Central Illinois.
Yeah, that's probably
Sherry Bustos, who has a political connects to Durbin. Her father was tight with Durbin. Sherry Bustos, I think, would be more formidable than Staines. But I think that's the profile they're going to look for.
Okay.
Particularly after what happened in the suburbs this cycle.
I mean, I've heard a lot about Sherry Bustos. She did better this cycle. Her margin of victory for her congressional seat was significantly greater.
It wasn't contested this time around like it was previously.
Well, that's
Not
true.
really.
That's true. But she has been raising her profile. She's been featured on Politico and some of these more Hill-type publications. So I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see the
So that'll
possibility.
be the
No
way-
Durbin. Durbin's out.
Right, that'll be the way the Democrats try and rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic, just as they will in 19 with somebody from the 19th Ward or some other Michael
Stop
Sachs
picking on the 19th
protege
Ward. What's
to replace Tiny Dancer. It's going to be the same old, same old.
Probably. It always is. I mean,
All right, I'm
it's the
calling
cycle of
Allied
life.
Van Lines gets a call from me right after the show after that conversation.
And now, a moment of objectivism with Yaron Brook and the Ayn Rand Institute.
Every year, the welfare state costs more than $1.5 trillion. That's more than $10,000 per taxpayer every year. Every year, Americans work for months, not to provide for their own families, but to provide for housing and health care for others. That means that many working Americans are sacrificing their hopes and dreams, forced to postpone or give up the idea of marriage, raising a family, or making a down payment on a home. But there is a moral alternative to the welfare state, laissez-faire capitalism. For more on the injustice of the welfare state, how the welfare state harms recipients, and why capitalism leads to prosperity and human flourishing, visit ARIradio.com. From the Ayn Rand Institute, I'm Yaron Brook.
This has been a moment of objectivism from the Ayn Rand Institute. To learn more, listen to the Yaron Brooks Show, Saturdays at 4 on AM 560, and visit ARIradio.com.
If you enjoy Yaron Brooks' Moments of Objectivism, consider making a gift to support content like this from the Ayn Rand Institute. ARI fosters a growing awareness, understanding, and acceptance of Ayn Rand's philosophy of objectivism to create a culture guided by the principles of reason, rational self-interest, individualism, and laissez-faire capitalism. To support this work, go to ariradio.com and click on the Donate button. Your tax-deductible gift will help to spread the message of Ayn Rand to the next generation.
The website, upstream-ideas.com, premium content that builds on the conversations we have on this show, upstream-ideas.com, podcasts of interviews from this show, if you've missed them, podcasts of Illinois Rising, our Sunday show, 1 hour show that focuses on Illinois state and local politics and policy, in addition to long-form interviews with luminaries like Colonel Allen West and commentaries. It's all at upstream-ideas.com.
If you're aged 59 and a half or older with the 401k plan and still working, stop what you're doing and call Arlington Capital Management at 855-471-5796. They'll help you actively manage your 401k, show you strategies to avoid major declines, and capitalize on opportunities. There are benefits with age, and this is one of them. At 59 and a half, you're entitled to new opportunities in the investment world that can dramatically improve your results and even lower your fees. Call 855-471-5796 now and take the first step toward getting more out of your retirement assets. The team at Arlington Capital Management proactively explores the market, our economy, and all of the variables that offset your investments. Call 855-471-5796 now for a complimentary consultation. That's 855-471-5796 or visit arlington-capital.com. You worked hard to accumulate your nest egg. Now, it's time to put your money to work for you.
Coming up, we talk to an Iowa State legislator who wants to hit the campus crybullies where it counts in the pocketbooks. That's at 8:08. But now let's check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Sunshine outside right now. We're tracking developing stories in the state of Illinois where a deadly natural gas explosion has claimed a life in Canton. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. It's been like this since the election. Angry Democrats protesting. Yesterday it was college students nationwide, but someday could it be Trump supporters demonstrating?
I think if Republicans go to Washington and we don't deliver on what we promised, I think we'll be looking at pitchforks and torches in the street.
Senator Ted Cruz, who had an ugly primary fight with Donald Trump, derided as Lion Ted, has met with the president-elect and may be under cabinet consideration. Others being considered will meet with the president-elect today, including South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley and Congressman Jeb Hensarling. Donald Trump will also have his first in-person sit-down with a world leader. Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, who's worried about a Pacific trade deal candidate Trump called horrible.
Prime Minister Abe sees TPP as a way to center the Asia-Pacific economic order around the U.S. and Japan. And he's also worried by Mr. Trump's campaign threats to make Japan and South Korea pay more for hosting U.S. troops. Japan believes it pays enough.
Fox's Alistair Wanklin in Tokyo. ISIS has been thwarted, trying to stage more terror attacks in Europe. Fox's Jessica Gallagher live in our Middle East Bureau.
Dave, 19 people have been detained after planned simultaneous attacks by ISIS were
busted up by police in Kosovo. This includes a terror attack against Israel's national soccer team in neighboring Albania. According to police, plans were in place to hit Saturday's match and attack another target in Kosovo simultaneously. Police say they found weapons, electronic equipment, explosive devices, and religious material and literature by extremist authors. Dave.
Jessica, there's a bunch of news on the economy out. Higher energy costs led to more inflation last month. Consumer prices rose 0.4%. New home construction surged more than 25%, the biggest gain in 34 years. And first-time unemployment claims fell to the lowest level last week since 1973. All that could have the Fed raising interest rates. Fed Chair Janet Yellen will tell a congressional hearing this morning the rate hike could be relatively soon. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Mostly sunny, 52 degrees. It's 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. One person is dead and 10 others are hurt following a huge natural gas explosion in downtown Canton, Illinois. The explosion took place overnight in that large town just southwest of Peoria, causing damage to several buildings. The person killed was an Ameren, Illinois utility employee. A delegation of civic, faith, elected, and business leaders heading to Rome today. They'll witness Chicago Archbishop Blaise Cupich be elevated to the rank of cardinal. Attendees include Mayor Emanuel, Governor Rauner, and even former NBA star and Chicago native Isaiah Thomas. Two are in serious condition following a crash involving a semi in Skokie. Fire officials say the accident happened this morning when an SUV slammed into the side of a truck near Gulf and Keeler. Passenger and driver in that SUV are hospitalized. A psychiatrist who examined a suburban Chicago man in an ISIS case wants a judge to impose a sentence that could mean the 21-year-old's release by next year. Doctor says in a letter filed in Chicago federal court that Mohammed Hamza Khan now knows his ideas about the terror group were unrealistic. Khan pleaded guilty to a terror-related charge for trying to join ISIS in 2014. Authorities have identified a severed head found in Chicago's McKinley Park Lagoon in September. The remains of Kisola Mims were discovered in a bag by a Park District worker. Her death remains under investigation. And Naperville police are looking for a man and woman suspected of robbing a local pharmacy with a syringe that they claim was contaminated with HIV. College football last night, Northern Illinois, a MAC win over Eastern Michigan in overtime, 31-24. The news, a service of the Foundation for a Better Life. She didn't just visit the sick and poor, she moved in because they needed help. Mother Teresa couldn't do it all, but gave her all. Compassion. Pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat from the Fox Business Network, a service of turnkey.pro. Here's Jenny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, shares of Walmart falling around 3% in pre-market trading after the retail giant reported a third-quarter earnings miss. While consumer electronics retailer Best Buy beating Wall Street expectations, reporting third-quarter profits, the stock soaring over 7.5% before the opening bell. Skilled trade workers at UCLA walking off the job yesterday, demanding higher wages. No major disruptions were reported. A similar walkout is planned for today at UC San Diego. And companies that make booster seats are getting better at designing them to protect your children. Of the 53 new booster seats the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety tested, 48 received the highest rating. However, 2 models made by Durrell Juvenile did not get a big boost from the survey and were not recommended. Children who use booster seats are 45% less likely to be injured in a car crash compared to just using seatbelts alone. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Hillary Barsky.
8:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
You need to understand that the way you build wealth is you do not use the evening news or CNN or Fox to set the tone of your emotions around your investing.
The Dave Ramsey Show.
If you're thinking of changing your investing patterns because you're watching the news, you need to turn off the news. You are in charge of your destiny.
Dave Ramsey. Weeknights starting at 7. Presented by Wintrust Community Bank on AM 560. The Answer.
Rain, sleet, and snow are coming.
to threaten your visibility and turn your commute into a battle. But the Michelin Man is ready to protect you with Michelin Stealth Wiper Blades. Exclusive SmartFlex technology makes these blades flex to the curve of your windshield, giving you the best wipe possible and streak-free long-lasting performance for safer driving. Winter is coming, and when it arrives, be ready. Michelin Wiper Blades. It doesn't get any clearer than this. Available at Walmart, Pep Boys, Home Depot, and other fine retailers.
Wildfires, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, a crashing economy. Are you ready? At best, your local stores have a 3-day supply of food. Will your family have to fight over what's left? Be wise and be ready with 25-year shelf life Wise Food Storage. Try it free. Order a no-obligation free sample meal, and for a limited time, get a 10% discount and free shipping on all orders. Call for your free sample now. 800-596-0026. 800-596-0026.
These days, you gotta have a side hustle. And I'm not talking about a 9-to-5. I'm talking about driving with Uber. It's the ultimate side hustle. You wanna earn extra money? Drive with Uber. Have a few spare hours here and there? Drive with Uber. You like the idea of being your own boss? Drive with Uber. You make a great boss. You're probably driving right now. You should be earning. If you want your car to start making you money, then visit uber.com/drive now and get your side hustle on today. That's uber.com/drive now.
It is 8:07. Let's get an update on the roads. In our AM 560 traffic center, here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On Metra's Union Pacific Northwest line, trains remain stopped near Mount Prospect after an incident involving a pedestrian. Bensonville northbound 83 is jammed from the Eisenhower to before 3rd Avenue with a rollover in the right lane. Eden's 25 minutes, like Cook to Montrose, outbound 29. Inbound Kennedy, delays start at Nagle. It's now an hour and 2 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 34 minutes from Montrose, 26 in the Express. Outbound 43 to the airport. The Eisenhower's an hour and 16 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. 51 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 39 to Manheim, but an hour and 6 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 3 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 40 minutes. The Ryan, 40 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound, slow Washington to 176. Northbound from the Kelsag Bridge, most of the way to 31st, and Roosevelt to Grand. Adams told it's messy from 25 to 53 and Bussy to Lee. Veterans Memorial from I-55 most of the way to Roosevelt, then from the Army Trail toll to 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Here's meteorologist Ashley Benoit.
Breezy and nice today with sunshine throughout the day, high 72. Clear skies early tonight, then increasing clouds, breezy and mild late overnight, low 58. Mostly cloudy and windy tomorrow with showers during the midday, high 66. I'm Ashley Benoit on AM 560, The Answer.
54 at O'Hare. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by 10 Pin Bowling Lounge. Let their expert team plan a smashing holiday party for your office. Begin at 10pinchicago.com.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
I ask you to stay engaged. Stay engaged on every level.
What I said to them is this isn't that complicated. They don't align themselves with the Democratic Party because they don't think Democrats like them.
Right now, I think he's an illegitimate president of the United States.
Why is he illegitimate? He just won an election.
He would have to legitimize. He didn't win the general election, so he's got too many people against him.
The president-elect used his campaign for our country's highest office to promote policy ideas that would not only pollute the planet, but expose millions of Americans and billions worldwide to loss of life, livelihood, and property.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. But in for Amy this morning is Chicago Tribune editorial board member Kristen McQuarrie. And Kristen, I got to tell you, watching the crack up going on college campuses is really something to behold. We have moved from sanctuary cities to sanctuary Ivy League schools, at least from petitions that are being circulated at schools including Harvard, Yale, and Brown. asking universities to protect undocumented students after, this was the sanctuary city status and persons that are here illegally has been made an issue again. The rule of law is being reasserted. Sanctuary college campuses.
Please.
Here's
I know.
You think that's what? Wait for this one. The Trump victory is literally causing some college professors to lose their mind. Kevin Allred is a women's and gender studies professor. I'll just let
it hang out there for a second.
Let that
okay,
wash
got
over
it.
you. Kevin Allred is a women's and gender studies professor at Rutgers. He's also the creator of the course Politicizing Beyonce. That's worth $40,000 a year to send your kid to Rutgers. Not happy that Donald Trump won, started tweeting, offerings like this. Will the Second Amendment be as cool when I buy a gun and start shooting at random white people, or no? Tuesday night, police showed up at Professor Allred's home to check up on him, then carted him off to Bellevue Hospital in New York for a psych evaluation.
I wonder if that happened to the Telegraph reporter. I know I'm getting off. There was a reporter for the Telegraph who tweeted something about the need to reinstate presidential assassinations.
You had a tech CEO who resigned from his post after threatening President-elect Trump's life. These people are just coming apart. Well, there is one state legislator who's come up with a novel approach to dealing with these campus cry bullies, whether they be in the professorate or the undergraduate ranks. His name is Bobby Kaufman. Comes from a 8th-generation family farming business. He's a state rep in Milton, Iowa. I believe I've got that right. And he's introduced legislation in the Iowa state legislature called Suck It Up Buttercup. For more on that, we're pleased to be joined by State Representative Kaufman. State Representative Kaufman, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So the old Suck It Up Buttercup bill has been represented. Can you explain to us what the legislation you introduced would do in the state of Iowa?
Certainly. Well, it's inspired by the fact that I was sick and tired of seeing all across the country all these different schools coming up with all these new monies for cry zones. I've heard reports of rooms where you can color and play with Play-Doh. I've even heard reports of people bringing in ponies so people could get through the election results. And that just doesn't show you through adulthood. And I didn't want that happening in Iowa. More importantly, I'd like to see that stopped across this entire country. So I've introduced legislation that I hope other states model that will say that any new dollars that you need to use for these cry zones and for this political coddling will get slashed from your budget, because you're not preparing kids for adulthood. When life gives you lemons, when you get a bad review at work, or your kids get sick, or your car breaks down, you can't go to a cry room. You have to suck it up and live life. People say it's an insensitive name, but life's not sensitive.
So what is the likelihood of this type of a bill actually becoming law? Because then you are dealing with a big hand of government, which I assume you oppose, in allowing universities to spend money as they see fit. And also, is there a way to actually truly enforce a bill such as this?
Well, that is the challenge that I face, that I'm taking on right as we speak. As far as whether I think it can pass or not, I have had a surreal amount of support, done dozens of interviews across the country, received thousands of emails. But I've also received a lot of hate. I like to call the folks that are asking for tolerance, that are cursing at me and threatening me over emails, I call them keyboard cowboys. But I really think an issue like this has a chance to pass. As far as enforcement's concerned, I've actually come up with a different way to make this more acceptable to people. Any of these dollars that are used for these coddle zones and these cry zones, I mean, it's a simple request for an appropriation from the accounting department. I'd like to have those funds redirected to lowering tuition, which is what our tax dollars are supposed to be used for.
Well, there's an idea. I also like the private action that you're encouraging. One report saying you had set up a website where supporters can adopt a Trump protester and you get a Suck It Up Buttercup hat for so doing, and just for the reasonable price of $17.76, which has a certain ring to it.
Well, we did buy up the domain suckitupbuttercup.mobi, M-O-B-I, and the purpose of that yeah, we're selling hats for $17.76, and they are funny. But more importantly, you can put your email address in there, and we can make this a nationwide movement and get bills like this introduced in all 50 states, and finally put an end to the universities in this country coddling a certain sector of our students and ill-preparing them for adulthood.
Yeah, I mean, it's humorous and it's creative what you're doing, and it's very colorful, but it underscores a very real issue, which is these universities, even your hallowed alma mater, University of Iowa, which have become totalitarian re-education centers, which are intolerant and thuggish places and at exorbitant prices, largely financed, certainly for state universities, by taxpayers of the respective states and at the federal and taxpayers of the country, too, in terms of federal support. And so, it's a real issue to push back against the elites who think they are unaccountable to the people.
So that's exactly right. And, I've received a ton of pushback, but the amount of support I've received really emboldens me to be able to continue to fight for this cause. And, I just would encourage everyone that's interested to get a hold of me. My emails have been blowing up, but please reach out. You can find me on Google, Iowa Legislature, and I think we can make this a nationwide movement. I mean, the amount of people that have contacted me show me that this is what is on a lot of people's minds, and so I'm happy to take a stand.
We're talking to State Representative Bobby Kaufman from Wilton, Iowa, who's introduced the Suck It Up Buttercup legislation. And I wonder what kind of feedback or response you've gotten from university administrators in the state of Iowa.
Well, in Iowa so far, they've been cooperative in reaching out when I've reached out and have been giving me information. The investigation into what our universities in Iowa have been doing is inconclusive, but it's a preview. What I see across the whole country, a lot of these folks think alike, and it will be extraordinarily unacceptable to me if findings in my investigation come across the type of things I've seen in other states where you've actually seen tax dollars being used to bring in ponies. Now, I have uncovered a few professors, and I'm not ready to name names yet because the investigation is not concluded. But I have had one professor in Iowa. I've had two different student verifications. This professor told his class that the election of Donald Trump is this generation's 9/11.
Right.
Oh, I've heard that too.
How irresponsible is that?
Yeah.
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
I just wonder if you have seen what we've seen here in Illinois. I just always think of Iowa as being, above all of this nonsense in general. But, chalking has become an actual verb now, or noun. You can't even write Trump 16 on a sidewalk. You can't write Make America Great Again. You absolutely couldn't include that with the cap, with the hat, because that is almost, it's too offensive and it sends kids, into a need for safe spaces. Are you seeing that at your Iowa schools as well?
Oh, absolutely. And in all fairness, there is a majority of the people on campus that are acting just fine. But unfortunately, there's a huge percentage that aren't. And yeah, I've got students that are Trump supporters that are telling me they're scared to admit who they voted for because they're afraid they're going to be censored or punished. It's the ultimate irony that those who want to express their First Amendment rights of free speech are suppressing the First Amendment rights to free speech of others.
Yeah, and it's also underscores the point that the revolt doesn't end on November 8th. So the revolt against the intolerance on college campuses and the failure of elites in charge of these core institutions in a civilized society, that has to continue, and it's not a one-man or one-person job. And so, State Representative Bobby Kaufman, I'm glad to see you're taking up the flag in Iowa. Maybe that will spur some of our Illinois legislators to think so properly as well. State Representative Kaufman, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck with the legislation and the battle in Iowa. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you much for having me.
All right, and he joined us on Turnkey.pro Answer Line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Your weather today, breezy, sunshine, record temperature could be reached of 74 degrees, which was set in 1975. So get outside and enjoy it. How are the roads looking, Jim Talamonte?
Well, there's no time for coloring or Play-Doh on the inbound Kennedy. Kristen, right now, just suck it up and deal with it. The delays are heavy from Nagel to the Hubbard Street Tunnel. No crying in traffic. An hour and 2 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 34 minutes from Montrose, 26 in the Express. Outbound, it's improving. 19 minutes to Montrose, 43 to the airport. Edens, 23 minutes, Lake Hook to Montrose. Outbound 35. The Eisenhower, an hour and 11 minutes from Thorndale to the post office. 54 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 52 to Thorndale. Off the Ike, big delays in Bensonville on northbound 83 from 290 to before 3rd Avenue with a rollover crash in the right lane. The Stevenson, an hour and 5 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 38 minutes. The Ryan, 39 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, really clogged up still, 115th to 31st. And Roosevelt to Grand Avenue. The Adams Tollway, heavier than usual this morning with big delays from Beverly Road to the Des Plaines Oasis. The other tollway's pretty heavy too. I'm Jim Talamonte in the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Dan Proft here. Gentlemen, it's Movember. Yes, another month to remind us to take better care of our health. Many of us are going to grow mustaches this month, but hey, why not go to a doctor you can trust, too? I personally recommend going to the licensed medical providers at Low T Center. They're friends of mine you can trust. At Low T Center, they know we hate going to the doctor. That's why they make it quick and easy. With their on-site lab, you get your results back in about 20 minutes. They even accept most health insurance and have flexible hours, including Saturday hours. And right now, in honor of Movember, Low T Center is offering a testosterone and prostate level test for just $50. It's a great time to get your levels checked, especially if you don't have insurance or if you haven't met your deductible yet. The number is 630-409-4305. Call 630-409-4305. Give my friends at Low T Center a call and tell them I sent you. That number again, 630-409-4305, or visit them online at lowtcenter.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had some ulcer issues on my leg that I had from Vietnam. It would erupt on occasion of periods of stress. When I was taking juices, these ulcers had disappeared, but I was not able to get good quality fruits and vegetables to make good juices. And, these ulcers came back. But since I've been taking the fruit and the veggie capsules, these ulcers again have subsided.
Good health is only a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Don't miss your opportunity to get a free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code CHICAGO.
No matter what type of business you're in, having a strong business banking partnership can help your bottom line. I'm Jeff Boundy, president of Cornerstone National Bank and Trust Company. We strongly believe that trust, service, and relationship are the cornerstone of a successful business banking partnership. Customers like Dr. Steichen of Northwest Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery agree.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Steichen of Northwest Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery in Arlington Heights, Elgin, and Lake Zurich. As an oral surgeon and business owner, I recognize the importance of relationships. I need a bank that responds quickly and creatively and understands the unique needs of healthcare practices. Cornerstone has been a valuable business partner. It's helped me grow my practice and seize opportunities as they come up. Whether it's a line of credit, financing equipment, or real estate, Cornerstone is there for me.
Thank you, Doctor. Please visit cornerstonenb.com, or I invite you to give me a call at 847-654-3000 to explore a business banking partnership.
Equal Opportunity Lender. Member FDIC.
Hey, you've heard how Automated Systems excels at assisting companies with systems integration and FDA compliance, but they're also a staffing leader. They supply handpicked elite leadership, subject matter experts, and proven technical professionals in engineering, quality control, and FDA compliance to support the life sciences field in executing mission-critical projects. ASI provides highly specialized pros to deliver projects on time and budget. Don't pay a lot more to a big consulting firm, and don't trust the big temp agencies to supply the talent you need. Call Laz, my friend Laz at Automated Systems, when failure isn't an option. ASI is retained by all of Chicagoland's Fortune 500 life sciences companies, from big pharma to startups, and excel through a culture of excellence in execution. For a staffing, compliance, or automation evaluation, call Laz now at Automated Systems at 844-HIRE-ASI or visit AutomatedSYS.com. That's 844-HIRE-ASI or AutomatedSYS.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Kristen McQuarrie, Chicago Tribune editorial board. Unless you think Chicago is the only repository of silly ideas and juvenile council members, let me reintroduce you to Baltimore. The Baltimore City Council gave preliminary approval this week to a citywide ban on toy guns that look like working handguns and rifles. This was after a police detective in East Baltimore shot and wounded a 14-year-old in the shoulder and leg in April. The boy was carrying a Spring Air-powered BB gun that resembled a semi-automatic pistol, and he pointed it at the officer, and the officer opened fire, understandably. And so here's the ordinance, and you should take note of this because you can expect that Ed Burke will be introducing this in 3, 2, 1. Carrying or otherwise possessing a replica gun, a toy gun, that could, quote, reasonably perceived to be a real firearm, according to who, could result in a $250 fine for the first offense. Fines would rise to $1,000 for the second and subsequent offenses. The replica guns are not toys, said the police commissioner. They look exactly like real guns, which makes them a toy. They look like a real gun. They're not, so they're different. And unless you're standing there holding them in your hands, you can't tell the difference. We need to get them off the streets. Kristen McQuarrie.
Ooh, I really liked candy cigarettes when I was little, too. So those have to be banned. Maybe they already have been because they looked real and you would even get a little puff of smoke. So I could be fined, as a 12-year-old with a candy cigarette.
You can't tell the difference between a candy cigarette and a cigarette.
You can't. You got to ban them.
Off
get
the streets.
them off the streets.
Take it to the alley. With your toy guns and your candy cigarettes.
Yeah, that's the message.
In a related story about guns, a passerby carrying a concealed weapon shot and killed a criminal suspect who was attacking a sheriff's deputy in Estero, Florida. Sheriff's deputy in Florida was in this town in Florida was pursuing a fleeing suspect, 100-mile car chase down I-75. When the suspect stopped, exited his car, attacked the deputy. After he did the same, the suspect, who the deputy says was armed, got the better of him, and he cried out for help. This guy who was a passerby came to the rescue. My husband was honking his horn to try and stop the guy to get some attention from him, and another guy with a blue shirt came out with a gun, pointed his gun at the suspect, warned him he would fire if he didn't stop attacking the deputy. When the suspect refused, the bystander shot him 3 times, allowing the deputy to escape, and the criminal died from his injuries. Wild West. Right to carry at the law-abiding. Wild West. People are going to be shooting each other over traffic stops. We need to ban toy guns because they look like replicas.
Guns equal bad.
Which side of the divide between civilization and uncivilization do you want to stand? With the members of the Baltimore City Council and the Chicago City Council, or with this bystander who came by and saved the life of a sheriff's deputy in Florida? Kind of a big choice.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Bob.
Hi, I'm Bob.
His company put their trust in Air Comfort to keep their business running cool all summer. Bob knows the value of proper chiller maintenance that includes end-of-season service, so he'll be ready for next summer.
I'm ready.
Dave, on the other hand, thought he could put off servicing his chiller at the end of last season and had 3 complete shutdowns this summer. Needless to say, his staff and customers were not happy. Moral of the story? Preventative maintenance will save you time, money, and trouble. As the hot weather ends, you need maintenance on your chiller before the start of next season. Air Comfort has one of the largest commercial and industrial service groups in the Chicago area, with a dedicated factory-trained chiller department that takes a scientific approach to analyzing your system and determining any needed maintenance. They know how to work on large equipment, perform an analysis of your chiller, and get you ready for next season. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
AM 560, The Answer.
Text from 773, no Big League Chew allowed either. Well, of course not, because that looks like chewing tobacco. They're indistinguishable.
It's a bad influence on children to buy Big League Chew.
And we're talking on the break. Mike Scott makes the point, no parent teaches their kid that a BB gun is a toy that you just point at people, police officers or others, indiscriminately. Of course not. The children are the ones in public office, unfortunately. That's the problem. Coming up, Speaking of children, we'll talk about the leadership of the state's largest public sector union and the governor's opportunity to precipitate his Scott Walker moment. That's at 8:38. But first, let's check the headlines with the aforesaid Mike Scott.
Dan and Kristen, and there is news on that front this morning. Those public sector workers in Illinois state government are planning a day of demonstrations across the state. Amid those efforts by Governor Bruce Rauner, the Don't Dictate, Negotiate events are set today, organized across 120 work sites across the state. They come after that state board ruled Tuesday that contract talks between Rauner's administration and the state's largest public employees union are hopelessly deadlocked. The decision could allow the Republican governor to impose his terms, and the union could go on strike. President-elect Donald Trump will be meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe today. South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, reportedly a contender for Secretary of State in the Donald Trump cabinet. Haley serving her second term as leader of the Palmetto State. Officials from the NYPD and Secret Service are meeting today to discuss security for President-elect Donald Trump. May involve completely shutting down Fifth Avenue in New York. The son of the longest-serving current member of Congress has gone missing. Police say University of Houston sophomore Carl Conyers, the youngest son of U.S. Representative John Conyers of Michigan, was last seen by roommates at their apartment in Houston on Tuesday. At least one person is dead, 10 others hurt, following a natural gas explosion in downtown Canton, about 30 miles southwest of Peoria. Several buildings have been damaged. 11 victims are hospitalized. The person killed was an Ameren, Illinois utility employee. A delegation of civic faith and elected, along with business leaders, are heading to Rome today to witness Chicago Archbishop Blaise Cupich be elevated to the rank of cardinal. And Dwayne Andreas, whose company Archer Daniels Midland helped transform agriculture into big business, but was rocked by a price-fixing scandal in the 1990s, has died. The former ADM CEO was 98. College football, Northern Illinois with a big comeback and an overtime win in the MAC over Eastern Michigan, 31-24. NBA tonight, the Bulls are at Utah. The news, a service of the 89-cent pancake deal at Burger King. How is this even possible? Right now at Burger King, you can get 3 pancakes for 89 cents. Hot, fluffy, golden pancakes, 3 of them, 89 cents. Unbelievable but true. 3 pancakes, 89 cents, only at Burger King for a limited time only. Price and participation vary. 8:33, we'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher believes a Trump win was just the start.
This is a movement. Make no mistake about it. We're not going anywhere. Now the movement expects President Trump, wow, does that sound good to say, to do what he says he's going to do. Now this movement holds President Trump's feet to the fire. Do you know what you helped do? We did it.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Remodel your kitchen with Galaxy. Buy one cabinet and get one free with free financing and design services. Call 773-783-8300.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Chris Veldman of ServiceMaster DSI, the largest ServiceMaster franchise in the United States and a customer of Signature Bank. In our business, we respond to disaster, and we never know when disaster will strike, whether it's flooding in Louisiana or a house fire in Chicago. Not all banks understand that need for flexibility, but Signature Bank does. That's why we consider them so much more than a bank. They have been our business partner since 2006, when their 3 co-founders, Mick, Kevin, and Brian, started the bank. Signature Bank is a key part of our growth strategy at ServiceMaster DSI.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
8:35. Let's get an update on the ride to work in our AM 560 traffic center. Here is Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Mike. Metro has big delays on the Union Pacific Northwest line after a pedestrian incident in Mount Prospect. Trains are getting through again. There's a crash which happened early this morning in Skokie, which still has Gulf Road blocked for 2 blocks between Kildare and Keeler. Edens is 23 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 35. Kennedy, an hour and 7 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 39 minutes from Montrose, 28 in the Express, outbound 39 to O'Hare. Eisenhower, an hour and 14 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, 54 minutes from Manheim, outbound it's 48 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 6 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, it's 39 minutes. The Ryan, 37 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State delays are northbound, 111th to 31st, and Roosevelt to Grand Avenue. Adams Tollway jammed, Roselle to the Des Plaines Oasis. Reagan Tollway heavy from York to the Tri-State. Veterans Memorials, the I-55 to Roosevelt, and from the Army Trail toll to 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Sunny, breezy. Temps near the record of 74 set back in 1975. And a breezy and mild night ahead, low 58. Currently 54. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Fox River Periodontics, Chicagoland specialist with dental implants. To get your smile back, visit implantsforme.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Except in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie, Chicago Tribune editorial board member. If Chris Bryant wins the MVP today, likely Amy will be back tomorrow. If not, I think she'll continue her protest that started when Joe Madden was snubbed for Manager of the Year and now continues with Kyle Hendricks being snubbed in favor of Max Scherzer for the Cy Young.
Her dedication to her team.
Yeah, there's no question.
Remarkable.
It's very impressive. She bleeds blue. So here's the question, Kristen. We've got this labor impasse that was declared this week by the State's Labor Relations Board. And why is this important? Because the declaration of the labor impasse between Governor Rauner and the state's largest public sector union, representing 37,000 state workers, AFSCME, provides that Rauner can now say to AFSCME, here is my last best final offer. Again, you shall take it or you can walk. He can essentially say that. He can precipitate sort of the best approximation of a Scott Walker moment in Illinois and crystallize the challenge before Illinois in terms of why do we have $13 billion in unpaid bills, or it's trending in that direction? Why do we have the worst credit rating in the country and the highest unfunded pension liabilities and just kind of clearly recognized as the worst governed state in the nation, along with having the worst governed major city in the nation, particularly when all of our Great Lakes neighbors, who I don't think are dissimilar from us, are going in a completely different direction. Should Rauner take this moment before AFSCME appeals the Labor Relations Board decision and perhaps gets a court to say, no impasse, we disagree, we overrule the Labor Relations Board, get back to the negotiating table, and just lets this go on in perpetuity, much like the idea of trying to forge a constitutionally balanced budget is going to go on at least for the next 2 years, it appears. No progress looks in the offing on that score. Should he strike while he can, or should he just let this play out and continue to play the I'm trying to be constructive and Madigan and Cullerton are obstructionist game that we've played for the previous two?
So I have a couple of thoughts on that. One is I'm not sure. I mean, yes, he should now impose his final best offer, which had some merit-based pay in it and would require union workers to actually work 40 hours before they get overtime. And it had some different issues in it. But of course, the union is dramatically opposed to any sort of merit pay.
That's tantamount slavery.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, they could strike over it. So, and then two other points. One is, remember the bill. This is the moment that editorial boards and the Rauner administration was trying to make sure that this scenario played out and not that bill, Senate Bill 1229, that AFSCME tried to push through the legislature 2 or 3 times. It got 3 or 4 votes in the House, which I've never seen before. And you had Ken Duncan, the one swing vote who didn't allow it to happen. Had that bill
and this
passed,
bill would have cut Rauner out of the negotiation.
Right. We would have, at this point, had Rauner vetoed it and the legislature overridden it, now the two proposals would go to an arbitrator, and this process would be just dragged on and dragged on. And here's the other point I want to make, because I think when people the declaration from Ask Me is just go back to the bargaining table, Governor. Bargain in good faith. Let me tell you what these contract negotiations are like, because I don't think most people, you picture like 7 people sitting in a room at a conference table. That is not what happens. They stall. When the two sides meet, they rent out basically like a convention room at a hotel. There are 7 or 8 people from the governor's side sitting on a table in front of a room of maybe 300 Ask Me employees who are all getting paid to sit there. They're basically negotiating sort of in public. Roberta Lynch, the head of Ask Me, will sometimes start chants in the room. They take hours-long breaks to caucus. That is how these negotiations have gone on since July of 2015. Guess how many sessions in the first 12 months since the contract expired that the Rauner administration and Ask Me were at the table together? How many? Take a guess.
3.
67. That was just in the first year. And you know how many proposals have gone back and forth between the two sides? Take another guess.
372,416.
300 proposals have gone back and forth. So if you think that going back to the table is a reasonable request for Rauner, then you're not. I wasn't even that informed on how this worked, and this all came from a higher up source of mine in the administration. This is what negotiating means to them. They drag it on. You'll remember that the governor has settled with 17 or 18 other bargaining units.
Wage freezes. Wage freezes, all of them.
All of them accepted wage freezes. And he agreed to, I think, 2 tolling agreements with Ask Me to allow them to continue. So he has played fair. And those were all issues that the Labor Board took into account when it ruled that, yes, we are, in fact, at an impasse. So do I want to see workers strike? No, I do not. I don't think taxpayers win when workers go on strike. But do I think that this is the final and best offer and that Rauner needs to play this card? Yes, I do.
Yeah, I mean, those data points about the negotiations are really incredible. I wasn't aware of that either. But you also have to factor in what we're talking about here in terms of compensation package for state workers, the highest paid in the nation adjusted for cost of living. $63,000 median salary. That's almost double the median salary for private sector workers in Illinois. $200,000 to $500,000 is the amount of money that it costs taxpayers to provide free lifetime health insurance following retirement after 20 years of state government service for each employee. $1.6 million per work in retirement benefits. As you mentioned, overtime begins. This is current. Overtime begins after working 7.5 hours per day rather than 40 hours per week. 12 days of sick leave, 10 days of unexcused absences without repercussions, 15 different types of work leave.
Grievances. The union files all kinds of grievances that cost taxpayers a tremendous amount of money. I mean, we've gotten to a point, let me just give you one more example, where at the state's veterans' homes, there were some volunteers who wanted to come and answer phones and talk to veterans and be good citizens by volunteering at these homes. Mm-hmm. Ask Me ran them out. You can't do that work. That's our work. And this is happening throughout state government and city government, for that matter. You can't volunteer at your local Chicago Public Library without stepping on the toes of the union, because that's their work. I mean, it's just gone too far. We are way out of balance with what the management is allowed to enforce and what Ask Me and public employee unions are allowed to enforce. Nobody's talking about stripping Ask Me of the right to collectively bargain or strike or any of that, but we need balance, and we don't have it.
And by the way, in this, what they have proposed, Ask Me, in one of their 300 proposals back and forth, are pay increases over the life of a 3 or 4 year deal of between 15 and 29%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In addition to what they get now, which I just delineated. So, at some point, I guess people in this state, and starting with the governor, who they elected, have to decide if we're going to continue to exist as funding sources for the public sector unions and spare parts for them, or if we're going to kind of fly off the comments you made, Kristen, if we're going to kind of reset the balance of power in this state. And so all of that said, the question then goes back to Governor Rauner. Lay it out, communicate, bring the electorate along, and then make the decision that needs to be made. You were elected to make the difficult decision. This is it. This to me is it. This may be, I won't overstate the case, but his reelection may ride on the decision he makes here. Because if Madigan and Cullerton dig in their heels with their majorities, supermajority in the Senate still, and they just decide that we can wait this guy out. We're taking on water, but our members, we still got a supermajority in the Senate. We got a comfortable majority in the House. 18 may be a bad year depending on what Republicans in the Congress and the Republican president do. There may be, the typical kind of midterm regression of the incumbent party at the national level. That could provide opportunity. So we'll wait this guy out to 18 with stopgap budgets. We'll let things continue to spiral. And then we'll go at him in 18, both at the legislative level and then, of course, with whoever they put up to run against him. So to me, and Rauner's taking on water too. So the question is, does Rauner and his team want to try and spark the revolt that has happened everywhere else in the Great Lakes except here? Or are they going to play the conventional political game and generate the conventional result, which is defeat?
It's risky. It is risky.
There's no choice that isn't risky.
Well, but when people strike, I mean, I know it's easy to just say, yeah, let them strike. Who cares? State workers. We're talking about people who keep an eye on abused children, prison employees.
Okay.
No.
Come on. Stop.
No.
Stop. Seriously. I mean, no one is irreplaceable.
I would strikes.
No one.
Okay, let me take a different route with you then. Every strike that I've seen a public employee union do, like CTU, like in all these suburbs where teachers went on strike, taxpayers lose. It becomes inconvenient. The pressure builds up. It's too hard, and the administration caves, and the unionized employees get largely what they asked for.
Well, that's the key, because there are examples in American history where the opposite happened, where management and the executive didn't cave, and people were replaced, and the message was sent, and a rebalance was instituted. And of course, the obvious example is Reagan and the air traffic controllers.
And hundreds of examples that I'm providing in the interim.
I understand, but so that's why it all comes back to Rauner. Rauner is not Tiny Dancer. Rauner is not some weak-kneed school board. This is his moment to do what Scott Walker did. There's another example. Budget repair bill. We're going to do this. And he did it in a dignified fashion. He explained himself the entire way. And as the public sector unions could get as hysterical as they wanted, storming the Capitol and sit-ins and cry-ins and primal scream-ins and all the things. And he advanced what he said he would advance per his election. That is where Rauner is at right now. And if he doesn't do it, then what exactly is his value proposition in 2018?
No, I mean,
Madigan's worse than I am?
He also campaigned on not being afraid of being a one-term governor, and then he has sort of shifted in that speech and said he is planning to run again. And that to me, it changes everything in his mind and his staff's mind. If you are intent on a second term and you're not willing to take all the risk to be a one-term governor, then maybe he won't have as much courage.
You don't think we can, I mean, and the you collective, not just you, Kristen, think we can find people who want to enjoy the current compensation package that state workers enjoy, the median compensation package in these jobs and human services and corrections and the other core agencies of state government? I'd like to put that to a market test. I bet you we can. Candace in DuPage County.
Thanks for taking my call, Dan. I agree with you 100%. There are people who are dying for those jobs, but they feel like they can't get them because they're not a DNC insider. Rauner this is his moment. He has to do what Scott Walker did, or else he just looks weak, okay? And people do not want to vote for that anymore, as we can see with Trump. okay?
Yeah.
This state may be blue, but that's only because of downtown. The whole rest of the state, there were lines around the block voting for Trump, down in Mount Zion, Decatur, Bloomington, everywhere, okay? And if Rauner won the state and he's Republican, then there is a chance. My other point is that Rauner is, when you're doing your job in Illinois, you really have to be running a campaign at the same time the whole year that you're doing it. And right now, there's this whole campaign against him all over the web about how bad he is and how evil and how Illinois has come to this because of him. He's doing nothing. He is doing nothing to negate that.
Thanks for the call.
So frustrating.
Thanks for.
That's why he's going to lose, because he is not educating the public. He has an opportunity to educate the public. Just what you said, Dan, that whole list of everything they get. Nobody knows that. You need to put that in a format and put that on Twitter, and you know what I mean? People don't know that, and it's not something they can go and refer to. It's such a long list. But, I mean, he needs to be talking about these things all the time, and he's not. He just kind of hides.
Thanks for the call, Candace. I appreciate that. I agree with that largely, too. I think he spends too much time staking out positions and offering political bromides rather than making arguments. But Kristen, you're close to it and his calm people. And what is your assessment of the approach that he has taken in terms of interacting with the public?
No, I would agree with that. I mean, that's why he keeps losing. He keeps wearing the jacket for everything that's wrong with state government. And somehow people still don't get it. They still think it's, Mike Madigan is somehow protecting the middle class. And I think his messaging has been really bad. And to Candace's point, if you do push this to a strike, you have to have the public at least educated and behind you. And that needs to start now. We need to see exactly what his final and last proposal is. I've seen parts of it. It's fair. And I think it's reflective of what a lot of us have seen in the private sector, probably even more generous. But you have to have some public support. And again, when you keep hearing Ask Me say, he just needs to come back to the table, just remember what we just talked about what coming back to the table means. It means dragging this on. It means letting Ask Me continue to, have these sessions that are pretend negotiation sessions that really aren't. And
yeah, but to Candace's point, I mean, I follow this stuff pretty closely. I didn't know the data points that you just rattled off about the number of negotiating sessions and the number of proposals that have been bounced back and forth. I mean, I know the data on what Ask Me gets now, but that's only because I'm close to it and I follow this stuff. But even somebody as engaged as I am, I didn't know that. That's a failure of the administration.
300 proposals back and forth, 67 meetings, and this was just in the 1 year between July of 2015 and about May of this year when they finally went to the labor board. And by the way, the labor board, 3 members appointed by Governor Quinn out of 5. So you can't take the political argument either and say that this is somehow Rauner's appointed board. 3 of them were appointed by Governor Quinn, and they recognize that he has bargained in good faith and Ask Me is going to stonewall.
Good point. Sean from Elmwood Park.
They're not negotiations, they're luncheons. So let's go for 2 birds. As I heard the imp, Rahm Emanuel, brag about the sanctuary city, let's fire everybody and give all the illegals the jobs at half the price. Then you figure out what we can spend for these functions where they take 7 trucks to change 1 light bulb as these slobs get stains on their shirts eating sandwiches in the truck. Well, 1 guy does the work, and you have a contract, and you let private industries bid on it. See, their job is to get the most bang for our buck. This idea that they're really negotiating against each other, and they're not laughing during the hour sessions with their foot on the table as they're cut up our money. There's no negotiations. Privatize everything that you absolutely can. This way you let the private industry really make the money and spread the wealth among workers. And show me a state employee that isn't in a cemetery right now waiting for his pension to kick in.
It's the biggest sale of the season. It's the Apple Vacation Super Sale. Book now and save up to 50% on your winter vacation to Mexico or the Caribbean. Whether you're looking for an affordable weekend getaway or a full week of luxury, the vacation choices are endless with Apple Vacations. 7 nights at Ixtapa at Barcelo Ixtapa start from only $11.99. Or make it Huatulco. A full week of unlimited luxury at Dreams Huatulco Resort and Spa start from just $13.99. Both trips include round-trip nonstop air, resort transfers, all meals, drinks, and taxes. Call Carey Travel Express at 847-639-3300. That's Carey Travel Express, 847-639-3300. Or visit CareyTravelExpress.com. Hurry, best dates and hotels are going fast. Prices per person based on double occupancy for select departures starting January 7th, including charter air on Volaris from O'Hare and taxes and fees, including September 11th security fees. See AppleVacations.com for baggage charges. Prices subject to availability and change restrictions apply. PC 16132.
Honey, I'm really worried about our retirement funds.